Hold on one second. Stand up, New York Giant fans. I'm excited. Joe Shane goes out there today and makes an under-the-radar move that I did not see coming, but he's done a lot of the under-the-radar moves this offseason that I did not see coming. I did not see the Darren Waller trade coming. Even though I thought it was possible we'd trade for a weapon, I wasn't thinking Darren Waller. Didn't think that we would trade for Isaiah Simmons 3 weeks before the year started, but less than 3 weeks before the year started. But here we are. He goes out there and adds some more depth to this defense. Whether he starts or whether he doesn't to start the year, we'll see. Obviously, he's got to pick up the playbook and everything else. But even if he's, a backup, obviously incredibly valuable depth to start the year, and you have to figure he's going to become a starter. We know that we're not incredibly strong at that linebacker position, so you figure him and Bobby Okereke are going to be the starters at some point. And then all of a sudden, McFadden and Beavers become valuable depth at that linebacker position as Joe Shane continues to knock it out of the park this offseason. There is no risk in this move whatsoever. Zero. No risk. And people have asked me on Twitter, well, why did Arizona do it? Well, why did we get rid of Bradbury last year for no reason whatsoever? We got rid of Bradbury for financial reasons. Teams get rid of players for different reasons. Bradbury went to the Eagles, went to a situation where he could be successful. Guess what? He had a great year with the Philadelphia Eagles. Isaiah Simmons now gets to go to play with Wink Martindale in a defensive scheme with a coaching staff that knows what to do with him. And there's a reason that they traded for the guy. And you've seen how the New York Giants have been able to develop players. Dexter Lawrence was always a very good player for the New York Giants, was never an all-pro. Wink Martindale shows up. What happens? Andrew Thomas, always a very good to great player, wasn't an all-pro. What happens? Daniel Jones has his best year as a pro. Coaching matters in the NFL. I trust our coaching staff. I trust our GM. They see a player with potential. I was here on YouTube in 2020 during the draft. Half the New York Giants fan base was begging for the New York Giants to draft Isaiah Simmons at number 4 overall. I was fighting you guys every step of the way. I wanted to tackle, and I was thrilled that we got Andrew Thomas. But it's ironic that the New York Giants now ended up with Andrew Thomas, and they give up a 7th-round draft pick for Isaiah Simmons. And suddenly, you think about all the different things that the New York Giants now could do with this defense with a chess piece like Simmons. He's not quite a linebacker. He's not quite a safety. He's not quite a corner. I think he's going to play linebacker or predominantly linebacker with the Giants based on what you've heard after the move. But you think about all the different things they could do based on the various opponents they're going up against. You want a little bit more speed on the field? There's a lot of options, right, based on the offensive opponent they're going up against. If it's a run-heavy team, maybe you play Beavers a bit more in the middle, or maybe you play McFadden a bit more in the middle. If you need more coverage, well, Simmons kind of acts almost as an extra DB based off of his athletic profile. The dude ran like a 4.39. We all remember at the combine. And you got to figure with this coaching staff, if anybody's going to be able to get some potential out of Isaiah Simmons, it's going to be Wink Martindale in this New York Giants defense. I think he fits the scheme very well. People have asked me about this on my streams last year. Should the Giants trade for Simmons? I said I'd be open to it for the right price. Well, for a 7th-round pick, you're damn right it's the right price. The New York Giants give up nothing. If they want to go out there and get a 7th-round pick, they could get it easy. That one of these wide receivers that's competing for a back end of the roster, they want to trade one of those guys, they could probably get a 7th-round pick for him. They give up nothing, and they get a player that could instantly step in and have a pretty big impact for this New York Giants football team. So another savvy move by Joe Shane as he continues to have an A+++++ offseason. We'll talk about all of it throughout the stream, but I'm fired up, man. Thank you to everybody for being here. Going to say hello to everybody, then we'll get to a couple of these donations. Neil, what's going on, man? What's going on there? Jose, what's going on there? Mike, what's going on there? Lizzie, what's going on there? Raphael, man, thanks for popping in the stream, man. What's going on? Bumpster, thank you for popping in. McCann, what's going on? Moose, what's going on? Lloyd in the chat. Afghanistan in the chat. Nelson. One of my OGs. Good to see you, my man. Jacob in the chat. McCann in the chat. Jay in the chat. My man, Sports Influencer in the chat. Got to talk to you. We got to do a couple highlight videos this year. You did a great job on that one. I posted it on Twitter. Go over there and check that out. Luis Bram, what's going on? The Joe Shane train. Manuel. Dre Mack. What's going on, Dre? Good to see you, man. Thank you to everybody for being here. Little Bulldozer. E. Rocco. Mamet. I know you guys are excited. I woke up today, and I look at my calendar. I'm like, we got football in 2 weeks. Then I go and break at work, and I find out we end up with Isaiah Simmons, and I'm ready to run through a friggin' wall. I'm ready to take on the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday Night Football because I'm going to tell you what, I think the New York Giants are going to win that game. I'm so excited. What's going on, everybody? What's going on there? Johnny Johnson's, man, thanks for popping in the stream. But let's start here. And what's going on? Good to see you, Albin. Hope you're doing well, man. Devontae, what's going on, buddy? He says, I will be totally shocked if the Giants don't have a top 10 defense if everybody can stay healthy. Listen, I don't know what we're going to have in terms of the rankings. Because what I will say, Devontae, we do play a challenging schedule. We play a lot of good offenses, right? But what I will say for sure, and I think I missed one, so I'm going to get to you. I got a members chat. I'm going to get to you independent. But what I will say to you is this defense definitely, much like the offense, how we've talked about, how the offense could present a lot of different looks based on the opponent they're going up against. You think about all the different types of wide receivers, and when we don't have an elite wide receiver, we have a lot of depth. So against certain teams, you may feature the slot a little bit more. Against other teams, you may feature a guy like Jalen Hyatt more. You may want more speed on the outside. There's different looks that you could present to opposing defenses because of the overall depth on our offense. It's the same thing now on the defense. When you think about the depth now, this move creates a guy like Simmons could play multiple positions. Suddenly, our linebacker depth actually doesn't look so bad. When you back some of those guys out that were projected to be starters, now they're the third and fourth guys, so that improves the overall depth. Guys like Dane Belton coming off the bench now, Cordell Flott coming off the bench now. Suddenly, the Giants have a lot of different looks that they could bring to opposing offenses. So I'm really excited, man. I think it's going to be a good defense. You bring back both coaches, the offensive coordinator, obviously, in Kafka, the defensive coordinator in Wink. And you got to figure these players are only going to get better as they continue to get more familiar with the schemes. I'm really excited to see what they do with Simmons. I don't know if he's going to start week 1. We'll see. May take him a couple weeks to get used to everything, but I definitely think he's going to have a role. Independent, man. Thank you for being a member. Low risk, no risk. Shouldn't even say low risk. No risk, high reward. Cards misuse Simmons, underwhelming, but Wink will train the young man correctly. Let him learn one position, 7th rounder. Wow, rather. Think about what they did last year with Dexter Lawrence, right? You think about the prior regime. They kind of moved Dexter Lawrence around a bit. We always said we thought he'd be better in the middle. Giants kept him there. Same thing with Julian Love. Used to move him around a bit. Giants kept him in a certain spot. Those two players definitely progressed last year. I expect them to get the most that they possibly can out of a player like Isaiah Simmons. I like the move. There's nothing not to like. No risk, high reward. If he flops, he flops. The Giants are only on the hook for $1 million this year against the cap. There's nothing not to like about this move. Then you say, well, why did the Giants even give up a 7th round pick? Well, if they didn't, they're like 25th on the waiver order. There's no way he would have ever gotten to him. And obviously teams from around the league weren't willing to part ways with a lot of draft picks to pick up a guy, knowing that the Cardinals, much like the Giants last year with James Bradbury, were stuck between a rock and a hard place because they knew that they needed to get rid of the guy, whether it be due to contractual obligations, the fact that he was not happy where he was, the fact that he wasn't a scheme fit in what they were doing. Now you bring him here. He's going to fit this defense very well. I think he's got an impact for the New York Giants. Can't wait to see him play in a New York Giants uniform. MJ says, let's get the nickname TNT going for Trey and I like it. What's going on, MJ, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. Jason says, I called for us to trade for Simmons weeks ago. Within a year, the speed on both sides of the ball has increased. Now get William Jackson's and Okwara. We'll see. I know they brought in William Jackson for a visit. The cornerback, he is 30. But, hey, more veteran depth, no doubt. I'd be completely open to it. We'll see what the New York Giants elect to do. But I'm happy. I'm happy with the move. And, yeah, you think about what Joe Schoen was able to do on it. We'll just talk about the defense specifically because, obviously, today was a defensive move. In one offseason, Joe Schoen was able to significantly improve not just the run defense, but the pass defense, right? Obviously, the moves with A'Shawn Robinson and Nacho and Bobby Okereke are going to significantly improve what was arguably the worst run defense in the NFL last year. So we knew that had to be a focal point this offseason. Not only did he do that, he goes out there, spends his first-round pick on Deonte Banks, who, by the way, was getting slammed by a large portion of the New York Giants fan base the first couple of practices, like we didn't learn our lesson last year when the New York Giants tried to bring a lot of heat on Daniel Jones, where Dable came out and admitted it in his interview with Boomer a couple of weeks ago, where he said that they intentionally made it hard on him. Well, the same thing happened to Deonte Banks. They were putting Waller on him left and right. First 2 preseason games, Deonte Banks has looked great. They spend their first-round pick on Deonte Banks. All of a sudden, Trey Hawkins coming out of nowhere, and now you add Simmons, who should only help in coverage. You tell me the last time the New York Giants had a linebacker that could drop back in coverage. I'll call you a liar because I can't remember. It's been a long time. Anthony, man, thank you very much. He says, I was hoping for Isaiah Simmons in 2020. Can't believe we have him now. He's going to be great in our system. Let's go. I think he's a great fit for the scheme. I do. Yeah, I think he's going to be a nice piece for this defense. No doubt about it. Matthew says, yeah, good move. Still getting whooped week 1. We'll see you out there Sunday night, Matthew. I'm looking forward to it, man. Thank you to everybody for being here. We already got 800 people in here. You guys are the best. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell. I'm going to be doing double time tonight, by the way. We're going to be on Bad Dogs for our weekly show. And then we'll be back here on Saturday in 2 days to call the game between the New York Giants and the New York Jets. Be on Bad Dogs at 9 o'clock. But figure when I get off work today, this is something that I know I want to talk about. I'm excited about. Season's coming up. Giants make a big move today. So figured I'd go live, talk about it with you guys. And we'll be live a lot more as the season gets closer. But thank you guys for being here. And Matt, I'm looking forward to knocking off Dak. I haven't beaten him since his rookie year. We owe you guys a whooping. Officer Richie says, what's up, man? How you feel about this season with the new addition? I mean, this new addition, I feel the same. I'm excited about the year. I think this team, whether they made this move or not, are set up to be good this year. How good, we'll see. But I understand. I recognize the schedule is difficult. I fully recognize that the Giants could have a really good year and play really well and win 8 games this year. I'm not predicting that. I think they're going to win 9 or 10. We'll see. But I believe in this coaching staff. I believe that this coaching staff could get the most out of the players on this roster. Last year, they displayed that. Well, now we have a lot more talent on this roster. Now you have players that are more experienced in these schemes. So that tells me this team should be better this year, significantly better. And while the schedule is more challenging, I think the Giants are going to win some games that people don't expect because I just think we're going to outcoach them. I really do. I'm excited about this year. I think we got the right guy in charge with Brian Daboll. I think Daniel Jones is in for a big, big jump this year. Haven't hid my thoughts on that. I think he's in for a big year. Big, big year. Monster year from Daniel Jones. I think the defense is going to be solid. And yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited for the upcoming season. And we'll see how the New York Giants do week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys. Tyler, man, thank you very much, man, for the 99-cent donation, man. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for being here, buddy. Jonathan, do you think Isaiah will have some type of playing time as a safety, or do you think they will leave him at the linebacker spot? Hopefully he's happy with what he's doing. That's my only concern in his position. Yeah, I mean, obviously you want him to be happy, but at the end of the day, it's only a 1-year commitment, and I think he has to embrace whatever situation that the New York Giants throw his way. He's a free agent at the end of the year. He's got to go out there. He's got to produce. He's got to recognize that this is a good opportunity now for him to be in a scheme where they could get the most out of his abilities. And all he's got to do is look at last year, what they were able to do with Dexter Lawrence, what they were able to do with Julian Love. Like I said, those guys improved as players, and he's got to say to himself, all right, let me listen, let me buy in, and we'll see how I do as a football player. What do I think they'll do? I don't think they're going to move him around a whole lot. I know that he brings a lot of versatility, but you look what they did with Dex, you look what they did with Julian last year. They identified what those guys were strong at, and they kept them there. I think they're going to do something similar with Simmons. Now, obviously, in certain sub-packages, you're probably going to use him in multiple ways, but I think he's going to be used predominantly as a linebacker, as was reported today. That's at least what I expect. But obviously, he could do a lot of things at that position. You could drop it back in coverage. You could blitz him up the middle, blitz him off the outside. He's a chess piece, another toy, if you will, for Wink Martindale. I'm excited about it. Jason, do we control Simmons' 5th-year option? I don't think we do because of when we traded for him, because the 5th-year option's already expired. That happened a while ago, I think. It happened like a couple of months ago. So I do not think we control the 5th-year option. He'll be a free agent at the end of the year. But the way you could look at that from a positive standpoint for this year's team, that's more incentive for Isaiah Simmons to go out there and put his best foot forward and ball for the New York Giants so he could get paid next year, whether it's with the Giants or whether it be with somebody else. Big Moose says, can't wait to see what Wink does with this kid. I'm excited, man. No doubt about it. Blue Scale, stand up. New member. Welcome to the squad, Blue Scale. Jay says, what's up, buddy? We will beat Dallas. I'm excited, man. I'm not going to guarantee anything. I feel good about that game. I'll say that right now. I feel good about that game going in. Chris B says, I will say as a Cowboys fan, it was a good move. Your defense should be good this year. More worried about your D than your O, in my opinion. Week 1 is going to be fun. We still going to win as usual, though. I'm looking forward to it, Chris B. I'm going to have, I hope I'm going to have Law Nation on the channel. That's going to be my new thing this year. I'm going to have a different YouTuber every week from the opposing team come on to preview the game rather than do the weekly previews. Those get boring after like week 4 or 5 when I spout out a bunch of stats and the additions that the opposing team made, in the offseason. I'd rather have somebody on that covers the team, that knows more about the team we're going up against. So I think I'm going to have Law Nation on week 1 for the Cowboys. We'll get an Arizona guy week 2, so on and so forth. So I'm looking forward to doing that each and every week. But yeah, listen, as far as the Dallas game goes from a Giants perspective, the thing I'm most worried about is obviously your pass rush. Last year, that's what won you the games. Let's be honest. We couldn't protect for Daniel Jones in either one of the games that we went up against you guys. So that's clearly my biggest worry. My second biggest worry is going to be our coverage because we have young players in the secondary. You have some weapons, right? So we'll see how they do week 1. Obviously, Trey Hawkins in his first game. Obviously, Deonte Banks in his first game. So that's something that I think you should worry about going into that game if you're a New York Giants fan. However, I think what you have to think from a positive standpoint as a Giants fan, This year, I think we're going to do a better job at getting pressure on the Dallas Cowboys, something that was non-existent last year. I think Kayvon's going to be a better player year 2. We have more depth on the D-line. What does that mean? That means at the end of these games, when you need these players on the interior, Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, to close this game out, they're going to be a lot fresher. Look at the snap percentage last year for Dexter Lawrence. It's insane. Last year, Dexter Lawrence only played 16 games, by the way. His snap percentage was 76%. Go look at the Eagles. Their highest percentage of snaps in terms of their interior defensive line was 65%, and those players played 17 games. They were fresher at the end of these games. The improved depth for the New York Giants should allow Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams to better close out these games when we need to get after the quarterback. I do think we're going to get more pressure on Dak this year, and I do think it's going to create some turnover opportunities for the New York Giants. That's the key to victory for me, because obviously we're young at the secondary. That's a deficiency. How do you hide that? You get quick pressure on the quarterback. That's the biggest key to that game for the New York Giants from a defensive standpoint. Bill, what's going on, man? Thank you so much, man. Bill's the man. Hey, Chris, I watched some Simmons film, crazy speed, but he looks confused about assignments occasionally. Wink will coach him up. Yeah, I think that's what the New York Giants and their fans are thinking that are excited about this move, is they see a player like a Trey Hawkins, for example. Not to compare them, obviously. One guy went to Clemson, the other guy went to Old Dominion. But a guy like Trey Hawkins has all the tools, right? He has, he runs fast, he's tall, long arms. Same thing with Simmons as a prospect. And I think what the Giants are thinking, what the fans are thinking, Simmons was in a spot, much like a lot of these players were in a spot before Joe Shane and Brian Dable got here on this team, where he was not put in the best situation to succeed. Giants fans believe, and the Giants believe, they could get more out of Isaiah Simmons. And Bill, I'm going to tell you what, it's a lot nicer as a Giants fan to be on the other end of this kind of trade. You think back to years past with the New York Giants when they made trades like this. They always traded away players like Isaiah Simmons because they had poor coaching and they couldn't get the most out of those players, so they got pennies on the dollar. So it's nice to be on the receiving end, to have a coaching staff that feels like they could get the most out of a player that the team that's trading them couldn't get anything out of. And I think we're gonna. I think he's gonna be a good fit for this New York Giants team. But Bill, man, thank you very much, buddy. Sam says, first time, long time, Chris. This is the first time since the Clinton administration where we've had two. It's true. It's true. The last good inside linebacker of the Giants, well, consistently at least, was Antonio Pierce for at least like a 2 or 3, 4 year period, was Antonio Pierce. And yeah, that's always kind of been an Achilles heel. Obviously, the New York Giants have not drafted a first-round linebacker since Carl Banks. You're going back to the 80s. So it's been a long time where they've really put a lot of emphasis on that position. They still haven't. They didn't draft Okereke. They spent good bucks on him, similar to the way that they did with Blake Martinez. But, yeah, I think it's a really good fit. Okereke now, I think, gets to focus more so in terms of run defense and side-to-side quickness, trying to stop runs on the outside, something we really struggled with last year. Simmons is a guy that could drop back more in coverage. So, I mean, you think about the improvements based off last year's starting inside linebackers to this year's, it's night and day. I mean, last year we had the worst inside. Even if this linebacking core is average, which it may be, that's a huge improvement. Last year, the New York Giants had, I don't even think it's close, the worst linebacking core in the National Football League. They started Jalen Smith to Tay Crowder. My God. I mean, neither of those guys could find work. Those guys started for the New York Giants last year. Now you replace those guys with at least an average linebacking core. That is probably the biggest jump in terms of upgrade in a positional group for this New York Giants football team this year. Huge jump. So really excited about this pickup, and I think he fits the defense well. What's up, Rodney, man? Thanks for popping in, man. And Toasty, heard they gave up a 7 because he was getting cut and didn't want him to hit free agency and sign anywhere. Yeah, that's exactly why they did it. Giants are 24th or 25th or whatever they are on the waiver priority. That's exactly why they did it. They knew if Simmons hit free agency, there was no way he was going to get to them at 25. He's too much upside there. Somebody would have saw that he would fit their defensive scheme and they would have claimed him. So for the Giants, give up a 7th-round pick. What's a 7th-round pick at the end of the day? You could always get another 7th-round pick if you need to, whether it be let a free agent walk, you get a comp pick, whether you trade one of these wide receivers maybe that aren't going to make the team, whatever. You're giving up nothing to bring in a guy that could potentially have a pretty big impact for this team this year. So no risk, high reward. Tyler, what's going on, man? How do you feel about Simmons at safety or middle linebacker? I would prefer to play him at middle linebacker, personally. But he's not really a traditional middle linebacker, right? He's a guy. It's almost like having an extra DB on the field, but playing at the linebacker position. But I prefer to play him at the middle linebacker spot, personally. And I think that's what they're going to do based on what I read on Twitter. But it's almost like having an extra safety out there in a way, right? Because he's got, make no mistake about it, Simmons is going to be, he's going to be the guy that's going to be covering the tight end more often than not if he's out there starting, or the running back coming out of the backfield. In terms of like when we play Christian McCaffrey, for example, if you're worried about him as a pass catcher, or Tony Pollard, that's going to be the guy that is probably going to be, that's going to be his objective in that game. So you look at all the versatile players we go up against, the mobile quarterbacks, the running backs coming out of the backfield, having a player like Simmons certainly could go a long way. So yeah, I think he's going to play linebacker, but he's versatile. We all know that. Let's see what we got. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it. And thank you for being a member. He says, funny how Giants fans wanted him so bad and we still got him one way or the other. Yeah, I mean, listen, like I said at the top of the stream, I spent an entire summer making content, fighting with people, not fighting, but, debating with people whether or not we should draft Andrew Thomas or insert the tackle here or Isaiah Simmons. That was a debate for 4 months. Obviously, you guys know I was on the side of the tackle, but half this fan base wanted Isaiah Simmons. And 4 years later, you end up with both of them. So just funny how things work out. So, yeah, excited, man, excited. MJ says, my guess is they ease Simmons into this, probably a linebacker and mostly in pass rush and third and long. Maybe 5 to 6 weeks in, he takes over the starting role. Yeah, you might be right. He may not he may not be inserted right away into the starting lineup. After all, he's never played with Wink before, has no grasp of this playbook. They may not start him week 1. I think he's going to have a role week 1, though. He'll be in certain packages, maybe in third and long situations where you want another guy out in coverage, or you want a blitzer, a guy that could blitz up the middle on the outside at the linebacker spot. So I'm sure he will have at least some kind of role early on. But yeah, I expect his role to continue to expand as he gets more comfortable with the playbook and everything else. Let's see. And let's see. Pavilion says live near Philly live near Philly rather, can't stand them. They can't drive. I mean, New Yorkers can't drive very well either, if we're being honest. I don't know, I don't know if you're from New York, but we can drive. We're just crazy. We're chaotic drivers. We know how to drive, but if you're not used to driving in New York, you're probably going to pull your hair out between the traffic and between, you ever go in New York City, you see the way some of those taxi cab drivers do. They'll drive you nuts. Andrew, what's going on, man? Andrew Marchese, awesome dude. Week 2 versus the Arizona Cardinals, paying 80% of his contract, so they will be paying Simmons for us to unleash him against them. Going to laugh my ass off when he makes a big play. Yeah, that's a revenge game. Week 2 for Simmons, revenge game for Cole Beasley. Week 1, if he makes the team, we'll see if he does. Of course, he's still kind of dealing with an injury. But yeah, Simmons right away, right out of the gate. Week number 2 gets an opportunity to go up against his previous team. So I actually pointed that out on Twitter right before I went live. I thought about it. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. We're playing the Cardinals week number 2. So we'll see how he does in his new uniform. John, what's going on, man? Can't wait for Wink to get his evil hands on Simmons. How good does it feel to feel good about the New York Giants? Look, John, man, it's a long time coming. Last year, I did not feel good about this team before the year started. Even after we had a Dable and Shane, I mean, I was optimistic about that. I was excited for a new regime. But you still had the bad taste in your mouth off the previous season, which was probably the second hardest season I've ever had to endure as a New York Giants fan, and the hardest since I've been making, YouTube videos or whatever you want to call it. By far the hardest year I ever had in terms of talking about the team because of the raised expectations going into the year and the way that the team just completely flopped and the embarrassment that they were. But yeah, I mean, it's impossible for me to come on here now and not show how I truly feel. And we'll see how it works out. I've been wrong before. And football is such an unpredictable sport, whether it be with injuries and everything else. But going into this year, I'm excited, man. I'm excited because I know now we have a coaching staff that can get the most out of the players that they're given. We saw it last year. So many players had their best years as pros that were with the New York Giants. And if you don't think that has something to do with the coaching, you're out of your mind. Now you add more talented players like a Darren Waller, like a Bobby Okereke, like the players that we brought in the draft, like an Isaiah Simmons, and you have to figure they're only going to maximize those guys even more. And the fact that Daniel Jones is more familiar with the playbook, there's reasons, regardless of the schedule, to be very optimistic about this New York Giants football team headed into 2023. But John, man, good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Let's see. Good to see everybody in the chat. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are enjoying your Thursday. Dre, thank you for being a member. He says, what do you think about signing Pugh or Dalton Reisner? Interesting. Reisner was a guy that I actually did not hate coming out in the draft. Listen, you want to add more depth to the offensive line? I'm completely for it. We could certainly use it. I mean, we all know, you look at these preseason games, our depth isn't very good. I don't think either one of those guys would be starters. I think we got our starters right now, but if somebody goes down, you always want to have valuable depth. So if Justin Pugh wanted to come here, by all means. I don't know what his contract demands are. I don't know, I don't know what he's asking for, but if they can bring somebody in for a cheap deal, yeah. I think what the Giants are going to do is they're going to wait for cut down day around the league, which now happens all on the same day. I'm not 100% sure what day that is, but I know it's after the third preseason game. They're going to wait till every team gets down to their final 53, and they've probably already identified teams around the league that have strengths at certain positions that they know one or two of these guys are going to seep through the cracks, and they're going to try to claim a couple of these guys. That's what I think is going to happen. Whether it be on the offensive line, whether it be off the edge, whether it be in the secondary, I don't know what position it's going to be, but I do think the Giants are going to make a couple more additions to this team before the year starts on the waiver wire. And we'll see how it all plays out. But this is the first time in a long time, as a Giants fan, that there's going to be some players that get cut that you're like, wow, man, I really wish that we were able to hang on to that guy. Because we have some depth. I'm not saying we're deep throughout our roster, but we have some depth. There's going to be guys that were drafted last year that probably don't make this team, which is wild. Wild. McKeithen might not make this team. DJ Davidson might not make this team because we have improved depth. This team's gotten a lot better. So excited to see how it all plays out. Donovan, did you see Prince Amukamara retire to Giant? I did. I didn't get an opportunity to watch the video yet, but I saw I saw it on Twitter. Yes, and I know he had a press conference or whatever. Hey man, excited man. He was a solid Giant. So good for him. Once a Giant, always a Giant. Usually. And Nelly, thanks for popping in. Tana, Shane is God tier. I don't know if I can handle all the optimism for my Giants, but I'll get used to it. I ain't scared. You can't predict the future. You'd be silly not to be optimistic based off this offseason. You'd be silly. How could you not be optimistic off this offseason? Let's recap quickly what we did this offseason. The linebacking core, like I just said, went from awful to at least average or slightly below, like much better. Huge improvement there. Corner, you got two good young corners that you got to figure are only going to get better over the course of the year. McKinney's coming back. He missed 6 games last year. We added tremendous depth on the defensive line. Everybody's year 2 in the scheme. On the offensive side, Evan Neal, you have to think is going to get better, and he looked really good last game. So you have to figure he's going to get better this year on the right side. Daniel Jones, second year in the system. You have to figure he's going to have a pretty big leap. You had Darren friggin' Waller. Why would you not be excited going into the year? Why would you not? I don't care who we play. There's going to be a much better football team. I have no doubt in my mind. We'll see how it pans out. But Nelly, thanks for popping in the stream. The Imp says Thomas. By the way, one name I have not even mentioned, who I think you meant there maybe was Barkley. The Imp with the second name. You said Bradley. I haven't even mentioned Saquon Barkley. Everybody's just forgetting about Saquon Barkley. You know, for the last 3 years going into the season, Barkley would be the first name you would bring up because he was all we had. Now he's kind of like an afterthought. And you know what that means? He's going to be an afterthought for opposing defenses. And who's going to benefit from that? Saquon Barkley. Remember the big plays he had in his rookie year? Expect more of those this year because now there's more things on this offense that the opposing defense has to worry about. Nobody's talking about Saquon Barkley. He's still one of the top 3 or 4 running backs in football. I promise you. He's still capable of making big plays. I think he may benefit more so than anybody else at the skill position this year because of all the added help around him and the fact that Daniel Jones is more familiar with this offensive scheme. Expect to see Barkley have a big year. McKinney, Lawrence, Ojulari, Slayton, Gettleman stunk except for the 5 or 6 best Giants. Gettleman proved that he's a good scout. He's a bad GM. He's a good scout. He's a bad GM. You can't kill him for the picks that he had. At the end of the day, you got a franchise left tackle. You got what you think is emerging to be a franchise quarterback. You got a franchise pass rusher in Dexter Lawrence. You got a guy in Ojulari, like you said, who could end up seeing a second contract with this team, McKinney. So there are building blocks that he left us. And you could argue the Evan Neal pick is his too because he traded back. He probably would have taken Evan Neal with that pick. So he left us pieces. But he proved he's a good scout, which is why he got the general manager with the job with the Cardinals in the first place. But he's a horrible GM. His cap management was bad. His free agency was awful. So it is what it is. I'm happy there was some good that he left, and I'm happy that we got a general manager in Joe Shane who's much better overall, right? He knows how to manage a cap. he seems to be much better in terms of free agency. He just seems to be more up with the times. And Joe Schoen's also, I think one knock that I could have on Gettleman as well, Gettleman had an ego. I don't see that with Joe Schoen. I think Joe Schoen comes in and he says, Daniel Jones, I didn't draft him. I know if I keep him, that's going to, I guess, hurt my legacy a little bit. People are going to say, well, Dave Gettleman drafted Daniel Jones if they win the Super Bowl. He says, I don't care. Daniel Jones gives this team the best chance to win. I'm going to keep this guy. I'm going to keep Dexter Lawrence. I'm going to keep Andrew Thomas. I think that's a strong point for Joe Schoen as well, that he doesn't have an ego. He doesn't let his ego get in the way. So, yeah, I'll give Gettleman some credit for some of the picks he had. He's still a bad GM, but he definitely left Joe Schoen with some nice pieces. Phenopolis says Amuka Moore's retirement speech was I didn't get a chance to watch it. I will watch it, though, before I go live tonight with Bad Dog. I was working, so I didn't get a chance to watch it, but I'll definitely check it out. And Goblins, what's going on, man? Shane runs the team like I run my Madden team. He's always wheeling and dealing. He traded up twice in the draft. He trades for Waller. He obviously made the trade today for Simmons. He's always looking to improve this team, and you got to love that. You have an active general manager who's also not overly active. Like he's not just making moves to make moves, if that makes sense, right? Like Gettleman, you felt like almost forced moves. Like and he forced the Solder move, which you understood at the time because you had a 37-year-old quarterback. You needed to shore up that offensive line as quick as you could. Force the Golladay move. Joe Schoen, when he makes acquisitions, they're thought out, right? There's no risk with these moves. The Darren Waller move you could get out of after 2 years. They signed Paris Campbell. He get out after 1 year. The Isaiah Simmons thing, you get out after this year. He's doing it right. The acquisitions he's making carry no risk for the most part, and he's building the team the right way, which is through the draft. He's filling his holes along the way through free agency with plug-and-play players that can hopefully man the fort for 2 or 3 years, as the guys that he brings in through the draft are going to be the long-term answers. That's the way to appropriately use free agency to build a football team. And thus far, that appears to be the plan that Joe Schoen has. You think about Darius Slayton, you bring him back. Who's Darius Slayton's projected long-term replacement? Probably Jalen Hyatt. And you can look at several other positions on this team. There are guys that he is drafting and bringing in that are eventually going to replace these players. Deonte Banks will be the number 1 corner next year over Adoree Jackson. They're probably going to let Jackson walk. He's building this team through the draft, which is exactly what you want. Dre says, what do you think about – oh, I already read that. But hopefully you didn't say that twice. Maybe I fell back. Hopefully you didn't say that twice. But I'd be very happy, Dre, with improved depth on the offensive line. We could certainly use it, man, 100%. Durant says, when is Joe Schoen publishing his cookbook? He's certainly cooking, Durant. He's certainly cooking. I'm excited to see it, man. But thanks for popping in. Thank you to everybody for being here. Katrique says, don't worry. I'm still talking about Saquon Barkley. I know you are. Katrique, you go to sleep thinking about Saquon Barkley. So I know you are. But a lot of people, they just seem to forget about him because the overall team has just gotten so much better. Bob says, just got back from my birthday dinner. Heard about the trade. I love it. So much potential. Shane is a genius. I love him. Listen, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But there's no risk here. So there's really no reason. Even if you're the most negative fan in the world, like you could say, I'll wait and see if it actually plays out. There may not be much of a impact from this move, which is very fair to think that that's a strong possibility. There's a reason that we only had to give up a 7th-round pick to get him. But there's no reason to dislike this move. You basically got him for free. And you got a guy with a huge upside with a coaching staff that has proven they're able to get the most out of players. You look at the way Trey Hawkins looks right now. Trey Hawkins is playing at Old Dominion. The guys look good. He looked really good so far in the first 2 preseason games. So you think about what this coaching staff may be able to get out of Isaiah Simmons, and yeah, it's certainly worth the limited risk that it took to bring him in here. Patrick says, yo, my man Chris, what's good? All I can say is haters, be aware we coming. Chris, glad to have you back, bro. Glad to be here, man. Thank you so much for being here. Bring them on. Let's go New York Giants. James says defense is set. This is the piece. Isaiah Simmons is the piece. Yeah, I mean, I never want to be content. I still think we could make more additions to this defense. I would like a little bit more depth on the off the edge if we could get it. But hey, I don't think personally, I think we could use it. But I don't think depth on the off the edges is as important as fans make it out to be in a defense like this. You look at Wink Martindale historically, there's never been an edge rusher or any player that's had 10 sacks from within a season in a Wink Martindale defense. He brings pressure from all over. whether it be Isaiah Simmons now up the middle or off the edge at the linebacker position, whether it be a guy like McKinney, whether it be a Dory Jackson at the corner spot. He's going to send blitzes all over this year. So it's more so, pressure by scheme than individual players. Obviously, the more talent you have at certain positions, the better. But I think they'll be okay as long as these guys stay healthy. Obviously, Azeez Ojulari has to stay healthy. And I would like to add another edge in an ideal world. But overall, yeah, I like what they've done with this defense this year. Could they still use more improvements? Absolutely. Are we going to go through some growing pains at the cornerback spot? Absolutely. You'd be foolish to think that going into the year, two corners who have never taken a snap in the NFL going up against arguably the top 10 wide receivers in the league throughout the course of the season are not going to have their lumps. Of course they're going to have their lumps. It's going to happen. But they're only going to get better because of it. Luke, what's going on, man? Chris, what's up? Oh, my God, this trade has a lot of potential. He's also a big scheme fit for Wink with his blitzing ability. Yeah, listen, I love it. I think he has potential to be a really good contributor for this team this year. I think the obvious reason why we look to trade for him is because they feel like he fits the scheme incredibly well. You think about what Wink could do. There's a reason why we drafted Micah McFadden. They thought Micah McFadden was a very good blitzing linebacker. Like he had that type of ability at college. They identified that. That's why they drafted him. Simmons could bring that to the table. I think he fits very well. You could do multiple things with him. He could drop back in coverage. He could blitz up the middle. He's a chess piece. And I think Wink sees that. I think the Giants see that. And they see that he could bring value to this defense. So there's no reason not to like this move. The Imp, man, thank you for being a member. He says, totally agreed. Lousy GM could pick guys who can play, can't handle the bus fare. Yeah, Gettleman was a good scout, bad GM. Good scout, bad GM. And now we have a good GM that took the couple of great pieces that he left him, and now he's building a team around it. So I'm thankful for the pieces he left, and I'm also thankful that he's been replaced. James Kent says, Isaiah Simmons is the missing link. Hey, man, it's a nice pickup. That's for damn sure. Greg Briss says, Kayvon, Ojulari, Akereke, Dexy, Simmons. You left off a couple of names. My man. Where's McKinney? Where's Leonard Williams? We got some talent on this defense. I don't know if you realize we got some talent on this defense, and we got some depth on this defense. So I'm excited, man, with Wink Martindale, man in the fort, dude. Let's go, New York Giants. What's going on in Afghanistan? Good to see you. Earl in the chat. We have a younger GM who is proactive and aggressive. Yeah, 100%. Jermaine, good to see you, man. Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Christian in the chat. Dory as well. How could I not mention Dory? Of course. How could I not mention Dory? I don't even think he did say Okereke. Credit to you. You did say Okereke. But really excited, man. Really excited about this defense this year and the offense. Let's not forget about the Obviously, we've spent a lot of time talking about the defense, rightfully so. We made a move today that I think did improve the defense. Let's not forget about this offense. Guys. We saw Daniel Jones look weak in the preseason. I'm not going to go crazy. It's preseason. But I find it funny now. All of a sudden, last 2 weeks, all of a sudden, you're starting to see the talking heads, whether it be on ESPN, whether it be on Fox Sports. I keep seeing I don't watch those channels, but I see the clips on Twitter. All of a sudden, people starting to come, oh, man, Daniel Jones might be a top 10 quarterback. Daniel Jones pretty good. Greg Jennings had him ranked 8th all of a sudden. All of a sudden, people starting to come around a little bit. I don't know what happened. Sean, man, thank you very much. He says, I'm a huge Simmons fan. I am hyped to see him on the Giants. I've been a huge fan since he was drafted. I don't care. Some call him a tweener. Hey, I think he's going to have a role for this defense. Is he going to be super impactful? That remains to be seen. But I think they're going to have a defined role for him, and I think he's going to help. How much does he help? We'll see over the course of the year, but I think he's going to help. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited about the move. He gets reunited with his former college teammate. Maybe him and Sexy Dexy, maybe they'll do I don't even know how to do the dance. I'd have to watch it again. But maybe Sexy Dexy and Simmons do the Sexy Dexy dance together on a few sacks this year. Maybe they'll get a half sack each. But excited to see him play. DeLuna, what's up, Raphael? Are the Giants Super Bowl contenders in 2023? Good question. Do I expect the Super Bowl? No. No, I do not. I'm not going to go into the year saying I expect the Super Bowl. But that's the beauty of the NFL. If you get in the playoffs, anything could happen. Anything could happen. And you look at the NFC, outside of the Niners, who right now don't know what the hell they're doing at quarterback. They got Darnold listed as the 2, They got Trey Lance as the 3, and from what I've heard, Purdy hasn't looked so hot. We'll see how he looks this year, but of course, they got great coaching staff, great weapons. But outside of the Niners and the Eagles, who I think, by the way, are going to come back to the pack a little bit, still the favorite in the division, still the most talented team probably in the conference, but I don't think they're going to be as dominant as they were last year. But those are the 2 favorites. But outside of that, if you told me, Chris, at the end of the year, if the Giants stay healthy, could they be the 3rd best team in the NFC by year's end? I'd tell you, yeah, they could be. Yeah, I would tell you that's possible. So if I feel that's possible, why would I not say that we at least have some kind of hope and some kind of chance? Do I go into the year with Super Bowl expectations? Of course not. Of course not. We're not there yet. I think we need another year to really build this thing up, continue to build this thing before we're at least approaching that level of those 2 teams that I mentioned. But anything could happen. That's why they play the games. And I do believe that Daniel Jones is going to take a step up this year. And if he does, this team could be dangerous come playoff time. But thanks for popping in, man. Let's see. And Bob, thank you for being a member. He says, Chris, if Trey and Banks or Deontay play, will Shane let Adoree walk? He's letting Adoree walk, I think. I thought that before we drafted Banks and before we saw Hawkins take a snap. I thought they were letting Adoree Jackson walk. Adoree's not coming back with the Giants. I shouldn't say never. Maybe they get a deal done where he's willing to come back on a cost-effective deal, but I think the writing's on the wall. The Giants just spent a boatload of money on Dexter Lawrence. They just spent a boatload of money on Daniel Jones. They spent a boatload of money on Andrew Thomas. They got Xavier McKinney, who they may have to sign. Saquon next year. We'll see with that. And Adoree's approaching 30, and he's got an injury history. They just drafted Deontay Banks. They drafted Hawkins. I think they're going to continue to draft the cornerback position, and that's why I was so adamant about taking a first-round corner this year, because, 1, it was a really strong cornerback class, but 2, I didn't think we were bringing Adoree back at the end of this year. So I was like, we better draft the first-round corner. So I don't think he'll be back. If there was no salary cap, I'd love him back, but I'm leaning he won't be back. That's my thoughts, at least. Zach, man, thank you very much. He says, we've come a long way from back-to-back quarterback sneaks and the Bad Dog Clown music. Let's go, Giants. Let's go, Zach, man. Thanks for popping in, buddy. Let's go, New York Giants. What's up, Sherrod, man? They could draft the Yeah, of course, Bob, man. Thanks for popping in. Cordell Flott is on the rise. We'll see about Cordell Flott. I'm not giving up on the kid. I know a lot of people have been bashing him, and he definitely hasn't been as encouraging as I was hoping he was going to be coming out of camp. I was hoping he was going to kind of grab that slot cornerback position and run with it. He hasn't done that, but he's still young. He was still a project when we drafted him. I'm going to give him the totality of the year, and we'll see how he develops over the course of the year. But I don't think the Giants are done drafting corners. I don't think they're done. In a league where it's as pass-happy as it is, when you have to cover, you're going to continue. You could never have – the old adage used to be you could never have enough pass rushers, and that still exists. You could never have enough corners. You could never have enough corners. The more, the merrier, especially in a defense like this with all the different looks that you could present. So I think they're going to continue to address that position in the draft next year. Let's see what we got. I think we cut Darnay Holmes. Yeah, I do too. I just think he makes too much, and to be honest with you, Darnay Holmes is just not very good. He's just not. He's not very good. So if you could save $2.75 million or whatever it is, yeah, I think you let him go. I mean, it looks like they're going to play Adoree a little bit in the slot. You have options of other players that you can play in the slot. I would let him go, but we'll see. Let's see. I love Simmons in the draft. We need speed at middle linebacker desperately. The guy is a steal. I'm excited for it. Let's put it that way. And I liked him a lot as a prospect, too. I didn't want him because I knew we needed a tackle in a rich tackle draft class, but I liked him a lot as a prospect. So I'm excited now that he's a New York Giant. What are your I'm going to have a video. I was going to make a video this week, but then I said, why? What's the point? So then I can make another video right after the last preseason game. So I'm going to make a video on the 53-man. I'm going to have a 53-man projection out probably Sunday, the day after our last preseason game. But I'll tell you right now, I'm going to tell you, I guess, some guys that I think are going to crack this team on the back end. I think Corbin's making this team. I think Joshua Corbin is making this team. I think we're going with 4 running backs, and I think Corbin's going to be the 4th running back. Maybe that's my hot take. I think he's making the team. I think Shep's making the team. Beasley, I don't know. I got to wait till I get more information in terms of the injury and everything else. But I think Shep's making the team. And I guess another hot take that I have going into the year, I think we're only going to roster, maybe initially we roster 7 wide receivers. I think week 1, we're only going to have 6 on the 53 because we're going up against Dallas. I think they're going to want an extra tight end because they're going to run a lot of 12 personnel. But we'll see what they do. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what they do. And a lot of people seem to think that Bryce Ford Wheaton might make this team now because of what Joe Schoen had to say in the last game. And obviously, usually you want your back-end wide receivers to be special teams contributors. And he's been getting good reviews, I think, from the McGahee, however you pronounce his last name, the special teams coach. They said he's done a really good job as a gunner. So maybe he does make the team as a guy that's, mainly on the roster to be a special teams contributor. We'll see. I'm excited to see how it plays out. If they're going with 4 tight ends, I think Sweeney has a chance along with Myrick. Obviously, those 2 guys are competing for the last spot. Dre, what's going on, man? What do you think about us keeping 8? I don't think we're keeping 8. Like I just said, I think it's possible we only keep 6. I think it's 6 or 7. I don't think we keep 8. No, I'd be shocked if we keep 8. Let me see who you said. Hyatt, of course. I think Shep's making it. Slayton's making it. Wandell, I don't know if he's going to be rostered initially. And I know he's been starting to practice. If he's rostered initially, that makes it really interesting to see what they do in terms of the wide receiving core. But I can't see 8. But Hyatt, Shep, Slayton, Robinson, Campbell. If Robinson's good to go, those 5 are locks. Did you leave somebody off? I think you did. Yeah. Oh, no, you didn't. You got Campbell there. Those 5 are locks. Then you got Beasley, Hodgins. Well, Hodgins is a lock. You just mentioned him a bit later. So that's 6 locks, I think, if Robinson makes this team. And then if they go 7, you're looking at either a guy like Wheaton or a guy like Beasley. I think that's kind of what you're looking at right now, if I had to guess, before the year starts. So I don't think they go with 8, though. I think they'll go with 7 or 6. I could see 6. I definitely can't see 8. Let's see. What's going on, ECK, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. I couldn't believe watching Dexy bowl over Quentin Nelson. Oh, I was at that game. That was great. This 2 tight end attack is going to be deadly. Well, in the red zone for sure, like you just said, Rob. Like when you look back at that play, go back and look at the touchdown last week to Daniel Bellinger. Look at the eyes of the defenders. 3 sets of eyes were on Darren Waller. 3 sets of eyes. When was the last time we had a player inside the red zone that a third of the defense almost is focused on one player? Bellinger wide open. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think especially inside the 5, especially on 3rd and short situations, 3rd and mid situations, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, where you need a quick hitter, I expect to see Bellinger heavily utilized because a lot of the attention is going to be on Darren Waller. And when you got the 2 tight end set, he's going to benefit from it. What's up, Nick Young, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, buddy. What's going on, Flurry? Waller was double teamed in the end zone, and there was a safety or a linebacker that was also looking at him. When I look back at the replay, there were 3 sets of eyes on the guy. I can't wait for football, Luke. I was born ready for football. Aiden says, "Do you think there's a chance Beavers is a surprise cut with Simmons here?" No. Well, let me think. No, I still think he's making the team. I mean, I'd never be surprised. I'd never be shocked. But I'm leaning he's going to make the team. But he could be cut. Nothing would shock me. We're deeper this year, so there's going to be some players that people are upset about that get cut. But McFadden, I think, definitely makes the team. I'm leaning Beavers makes the team. You have Simmons. I think he's making the team. I think he'll make the team. But he's not going to have as big of a role, obviously, now that we have Simmons. But I think he'll make the team. Will Khalil Pimpleton make the team? No chance. Khalil Pimpleton's like 11th right now on the wide receiver depth chart. He might make the practice squad. There's no chance he's making the team. Chris, are we going with Azudu as the start? No, we're going with Bredesen. No chance Azudu starts. I was thinking about this the other day. I actually said it on Twitter because somebody brought up, what's his name? The quarterback for Washington. Why am I forgetting his name right now? Sam Howell. The Giants, a little intel, little something you think about. The Giants did more work on the North Carolina program on the year that Howell was coming out than on probably any other team in the NFL. They drafted 2 starting offensive linemen from that team. They drafted McKeithen and they drafted Azudu. So you would think Giants have at least a little bit of intel on the new Washington quarterback. You have to figure they scouted him a bit, being that they were there in North Carolina. They got 2 offensive linemen that blocked for him. So just a little interesting tidbit I was thinking about the other day. Let's see what we got. Saeed says, what happened to Aaron Robinson? He's been hurt. He's been hurt. Squill says, what else is new? The guy's always been hurt. I've always liked his potential, but he's always been hurt. What do you think the score would be if the 2017 Giants played the 2023 Giants? Are we talking about the 2017 Giants before they were depleted with injuries or after? After the Giants, this team would beat them by 20 points. That team was awful. Let's see. I'm riding with Aaron Robinson. Him and Jay Shapiro-Paul went to the same high school. I mean, I like Aaron Robinson. The guy's just always hurt. He's got to stay on the field. I actually think he fit the scheme relatively very well. I've said that numerous times, but the guy's always hurt. Let's see. Cardinals fire sale. Yeah, I think the Cardinals are tanking, if we're being honest. I do. I think the Cardinals I shouldn't even use the term tanking. But I think they view Simmons as a guy, much like we did last year with Bradbury, that doesn't necessarily fit their defensive scheme. Bradbury is not really a press corner. He's more of a zone corner. He fit the Eagles' defense better. And obviously, the main reason we got rid of him was for financial reasons. But I think the Cardinals looked at Simmons. They said, he doesn't fit what we're looking to do here. We're looking to rebuild. We're looking to move on. Simmons isn't happy here. Let's get what we can and get him out of here. I think that's what happened. That doesn't mean that Simmons can't be successful here. I think he can be. So you're saying the Cardinals are out on Murray? Probably, they should be, in my opinion, but probably not because of his contract. His contract is insane. But if they're picking first overall, I think they'd be foolish not to draft a quarterback personally. But, hey, we'll see what happens. I'm not worried about the Cardinals. I'm worried about the Giants. But, hey, I'll say it right now. You can clip it. You can call me a fool at the end of the year if I look stupid. I think the Giants got the best quarterback in the 2019 draft class. I believe that. It's not just about talent. It's not just about combine. There's more that goes into it. Work ethic. I think the Giants got the best quarterback of the 2019 draft class. If I was doing a draft today and you told me I could draft Daniel Jones or Kyler Murray, I'm running to the podium to take Daniel Jones. Running to the podium. You'd have to tackle me with 10 people to try to get me to prevent from taking Daniel Jones over Kyler Murray right now. You'd have to tackle me. You'd have to get the whole state of New York to tackle me. Let's see what we got. Big Moose says, I've been getting conflicting opinions from other channels I watch regarding if we can protect practice squad players each week and how many. Last year was, I think it's 4. I don't know if that's changed, though. Let me look. I thought it was 4 week to week. So I just typed it out on Google. It says 4 players can be protected each week. I don't know if this is old information, so they can't be signed by another team off the practice squad. However, any unprotected player may be signed to a 53-man roster at any time. I don't know if that rule has since changed, but I think it's 4, unless it's changed this year. I know that they've made some rule changes. I know now you can have 3 quarterbacks, but the third quarterback doesn't go against the 53. I think it's 4 players you can protect on the practice squad. But Big Moon, man, thank you very much. Bryce says the Cardinals also just traded a 5th for Josh Dobbins and a 7th to Cleveland. Yeah, listen, I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that they didn't feel Simmons fit what they were looking to do there. That's fine. I think he fits what we're looking to do here. I'm excited that he's here. The Ace Avenue says, this is what it feels like to have a competent general manager. Dave Gettleman gave up a 4th and a 6th for old Ogletree, and Joe gave up a 6th for Simmons, 7th for Simmons, I think, unless I'm wrong. I thought it was a 7th. Go G-Men. Yeah, dude. Night and day. And he gave up a late 3rd for Darren Waller. Come on, man. Joe Musa, what's going on, man? One of my OGs, Jet. I'm excited. Not this week. It's preseason. But I'm excited to take you guys on this year. It's going to be a fun game. Both New York teams are trending up for the first time in a long time. So should be a lot of fun. I am excited to see how Aaron Rodgers does this year with the Jets. And I'm happy as a Giants fan, to be honest with you. No disrespect to the Jets, but I like when the Jets take a little bit of the attention away from the Giants. Yeah, by the way, stupidest question. I don't know who asked it. I'm not trying to badmouth. I know it wasn't Patricia, who I love. I do a show with her, so I'm going to say it was the stupidest question. I don't know who said it. Can we stop asking Daniel Jones every press conference, do you feel any more pressure this year because you're sharing New York with Aaron Rodgers? Do you think Daniel Jones has any time to worry about the New York Jets? Do you think he has a second to worry about the New York Jets? Have you ever watched Daniel Jones? Daniel Jones sleeps in the weight room. He doesn't even use a pillow when he goes to bed. He puts his head on top of a football Do you think he has any time to concern himself with what Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets are doing? Can we stop asking these stupid questions? What's going on, Coach Man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Good to see you, buddy. Let's see. Will Colin Johnson make the team? No. He's been hurt, and we got too much depth at that position. This is Daniel Jones' trap. What do you mean by that, Cushman? What's the Daniel Jones trap? Darius Slayton profile just got uploaded on Giants YouTube. Oh, I'll have to check it out. I'm excited for Darius this year. I think he could have a good year for the Giants. Had a really good training camp. Yo, Chris, meet the man Danny Dimes last. You got to meet him? That's awesome, man. Those questions are 100% about. Yeah, that's exactly what they're about. That's exactly what they're about. New York is Daniel Jones's. No one is talking. No one is taking it from. Love it. I don't care at the end of the day. If Aaron Rodgers, good for the Jets. They got one of the top 5 or 6, 7 quarterbacks who ever lived. They got a 2 or 3 year window to try to capitalize on it. I'm happy with the guy that we got. What's going on, Michael? He says, what's up, Dana? Beyond excited for the Cowboys. Dude, been thinking about it all offseason. Haven't had a bigger opening day game or opening night game, I should say. Just not used to saying that because we haven't played on night in forever. Haven't had a bigger opening night game in over 10 years. It's huge. When you think about, because I've talked about it, and I'm sure all the Giants content creators have talked about it. For me, the biggest key this season, undeniably, is how we play from within the division. You get the test right out of the gate against the Dallas Cowboys. And if you win that game, do you realize the confidence that can instill in this football team? If you go out there Sunday night, and I am sick and tired of hearing about the Dak stat. That's all I've heard now for 3 weeks. Anytime you get in any conversation on Twitter, Cowboys fan interjects, Dak's record against the Giants is 10-2. Do you think I care? So congratulations. Dak's record against the Giants is 10-2 when we had Pat Shurmur, when we had Joe Judge, when we had Mike Glennon at quarterback. The New York Giants record between 2017 and 2021 was 23-59. Congratulations that with one of the best overall rosters, you had a quarterback that could go 10-2 against one of the worst teams in football. You put Teddy Bridgewater on that team, they'd be 10-2. I'm so sick of hearing about that stat, and I would like nothing more than for the New York Giants to go out there and absolutely obliterate the Dallas Cowboys week 1. Cannot wait. Samuel, man, thanks for popping in. Does Simmons start right away week 1? I don't know. I think he's going to have a role week 1. I don't know if he'll start week 1, but I think he's going to have a role week 1. We'll see. I think he'll have a role. I don't know how many snaps he's going to get. Obviously, he's new to the team. He hasn't played in the system. He hasn't played with the players, but he'll have a role. I don't know how many, the percentage of snaps he'll get, but I think he'll have a role. If we beat Dallas Sunday night, I'm picking us to win the division. All right, listen. Let's win the game first before we start talking about winning the division. Let's win the game first. How about Bobby McCain? He's got a shot. He's definitely, I think, competing for one of the last spots on the roster. But he's got a shot. And you got to figure, obviously, Belton's ahead of him in terms of the depth at safety. He's got a shot. He might make it. We'll see. I actually did. I was jotting it down the other day because I was bored of who I think will make it. I had him out. At the safety spot, I had McKinney. I had Pinnock. I had Belton. I had Owens, the rookie. He's making the team. So that's already 4 right there. And then I think I had McLeod. I think McLeod, if we're going 5, I don't think he's making the team. I don't think McCain's making the team, but we'll see. Ricardo says, Chris, do you think the Giants pick up a pass rusher still, maybe a JPP? I'm leaning, if they do, I don't think it'll be JPP. I think it'll be similar to what they kind of did here with Simmons. Probably not that big of a name, but rather than an old veteran, a guy that's kind of peaked and he's on his way out, although it would be a really nice story to bring him back to New York, I think it would be a younger guy with some upside that maybe has not worked out yet in the NFL that they feel like they could get more out of with their coaching staff. So I don't think they would go after a guy like JPP. I think they'd go after more of a guy that's 25, 26, hasn't maybe been put in the right defensive situation. I could see them doing something like that before JPP. Let's see. Did I not say McKinney? If I didn't, of course, McKinney. McKinney, I was talking about the depth. Starters are McKinney and Pinnock. We know that. McKinney, Pinnock, Belton, Owens. Those 4 are locks for me. And then the fit safety, if they're going 5, you got McCain, you got McLeod. We'll see. It's probably going to be whoever they feel like is going to be able to better contribute on special teams. Let's see. Simmons starting as soon as we signed him. He was our best linebacker. No, Bobby Okereke is our best linebacker, I think. But we'll see. I hope he starts. I mean, I think he's going to have a role. Whether he starts or whether he doesn't week one, I think he's going to start. I think he's going to play, rather. Let's see. Yeah, we got Simmons for a second. What's up, Hand Glider, man? Good to see you, man. One of my OGs. Good to see you, man. Cushman says, let's win week one, then week two, then week three, then week 5. 1 week at a time, Cushman. 1 week at a time. I'm not going to read too much into these projections, these predictions that these people are putting out. Football is a week-to-week sport. If you predict how a team's going to do before the start of the year in terms of their record, and you're like, oh, I hit on the record, I knew it. You didn't know it. You got lucky. Every team is different every week in the NFL. There's momentum. There's injuries. There's too much unpredictability when it comes to the NFL. Week to week. Like Dable always says, week to week. That's it. Let's worry about week one. Then we'll worry about Arizona. Then we'll worry about San Francisco. Then we'll worry about Seattle. Week to week to week. Let's see what we got. I see Simmons in a Micah Parsons role in wing. Ooh, I ain't putting on that kind of pedestal, but I see what you're saying. Parsons obviously came in as a linebacker and he developed to be more of a pass rusher. I don't know if that's the role I see him. I do think they'll use him in that capacity, but I think he's going to be used more so. I think the biggest value that he's going to bring to this Giants team is coverage at that position because we didn't have it. So I think that's what he brings to this team. I think he's a guy that could drop back in coverage and guard some tight ends, guard some running backs, maybe a guy that could spy a mobile quarterback like a Jalen Hurts, who you got to play twice a year. So I think that's the value that he brings to this defense more so than anything else. What's up, Rel? Good to see you, man. Let's see. And Troy says, my guy Simmons is playing 80% of the snaps. We'll see. Ryo says, I'm not worried about any team. I'm just worried about our team. That's all you can be. Week to week, man. Week to week. Last year, if I would have told you before the year started, the New York Giants and the Seattle Seahawks were going to make the playoffs, you would have called me crazy. The Seahawks just traded Russell Wilson. The New York Giants, nobody had any expectations for. And if I would have told you that the Raiders were going to win 5 games or 6 games or whatever they won, coming off the year they had after they added Devontae Adams, and that the Broncos were going to completely fall on their face, and that the defending Super Bowl Rams were going to completely fall on their face, you would have called me stupid. Anything could happen. Anything could happen. What's going on, Anthony, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Cardinals should be dissolved into an XFL. What's up, Joseph Clark, man? Thanks for popping in. Simmons can't. I think you meant to say can't cover. Yeah, I think you meant to say can't cover. And maybe he has not covered well. So since he's been in the NFL, I'm sure he hasn't. I don't think the Cardinals have used him right. I think he's capable of being good in coverage, and hopefully the New York Giants could coach it into him. But I think he's got the potential to be a good coverage linebacker. Could Joe Shane GM the Yankees too? You'd have to ask the Yankee. I mean, I don't know how. You want to talk about a guy who I am amazed that he still has a job. And I'm a Met fan. But how the hell does Brian Cashman still have a job? Brian Cashman must have nudes of the Steinbrenners. He must. The highest pressure general manager job in all 4 major sports in America, for him to still have a job after all these years is insane to me. And by all accounts, from what I've heard, he's still going to keep his job. It's crazy to me. Jason, man, thank you very much, man. Kadarius was right. Media some clowns. Why are they asking Dable, Kafka, and Daniel about Aaron and the Jets? No wonder athletes don't like the media. Hey, man, that comes with the territory. That's it. And I think as an athlete in America, you have to. I'm sorry, an athlete in New York rather. You have to know that that's the way it works, and you have to be able to handle it. And I think it's something that a lot of people don't analyze when they think about players that play for this football team. They don't think of that as like a strength. That's important when you play in New York. You have to be able to handle the media. That is a big, big thing. Eli Manning handled the media great. Daniel Jones has handled the media great. Brian Dable has handled the media great. That's a big thing when it comes to playing in New York. There's no doubt about it. But the media, yeah, they're going to look for clicks. They're going to look for drama. That's what sells. It is. Let's be honest with it. Why do people watch ESPN? Why do people watch ESPN? You're not watching ESPN for Stephen A. Smith because you think he's going to educate you on the sport of football, or because whoever, you name the guy on ESPN. You watch ESPN because it's drama, right? So the media tries to create drama. It tries to create stories. It tries to create headlines. Being in New York, you have to be able to handle that. That's a big thing, playing in New York. The spotlight's on you. Playing in New York's a lot different than playing in Cleveland or playing in Indianapolis. So I think a lot of people don't take that into account. They're like, oh, yeah, let's just replace Daniel Jones with Kyler Murray. Yeah, you think Kyler Murray handled media well here? No chance. But Jason, man, thank you very much, man. Christian says, my dad's been a Giants fan since he came to the U.S. 37 years ago and loves listening to you break down the news. Stand up. What's going on, Christian, man? Good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well, buddy, and I appreciate that, man. And Mr. Lilly, he says, hey, bud, I love the front office. They should be, and not, by the way, I'll be doing more news videos and videos in general once the year starts. Lily says, hiya, bud. I love the front office. They should be on Master Chef because they're going to have some serious humble pie to these idiots in the media. Let's go, Giants. Steven, man, good to see you, man. Chris, I made my girlfriend a Giants fan, and we're watching week 1 with her dad, who's a Cowboys fan. We need to win. Oh, God. What a horrible. It's tough enough. Having in-laws are tough enough if you get married. I don't know if I'd be able to handle it. If my father-in-law was a Cowboys fan, I don't know, man. Best of luck to you. I don't know if that relationship's going to work, buddy. Cruzon says, it's like you guys didn't follow Simmons at all in the NFL. People talking about how he could cover his... I mean, I think he's capable of coverage. There's nothing to hate about this move, Cruzon. And I was all aboard the Andrew Thomas draft pick. I didn't want Simmons. How I viewed Simmons was this. One thing, especially when you're drafting that high in the draft, when you're picking in the top 10, when you're picking in the top 5, I don't want a player who's kind of thought to be a jack-of-all-trades player, like a Kadarius Toney, for example, when you're picking top 5, top 10 in the draft. I want a guy that you have a very good indicator is going to be great at one position, at one singular thing. The book on Simmons was he was a guy that could kind of do everything. I didn't want to draft him that high. But do I think with this coaching staff, he can be a contributor? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think he can help this football team, whether it's in coverage, whether it's being a blitzer off the edge, whether it's being a blitzer up the middle. The guy went top 10 for a reason. He has talent. He's had glimpses from what you hear of doing relatively well. And everybody has said that Arizona has put him in a very bad situation in terms of their defensive scheme for him to be successful. You bring him here with Wink. Do I think he could be successful for this team this year? Do I think he could help this team this year? Yeah. Do I expect a Pro Bowler? Of course not. But to get him for a 7th-round pick, why not, man? I'm a Giants fan and my wife is a Cowboys fan, so how do you think I feel? Jason says, I definitely see using Simmons in a Parsons role, some coverage and a lot of pass rush. Him, Dexter, KT, and Aziz on 3rd and long. Let him just hunt. Yeah, I mean, and everybody keeps forgetting about Leonard Williams. I'm going to continue to say it, man. Don't forget about Leonard Williams this year. I think Leonard Williams is going to have a big year for the Giants. I really do. I think everything sets up well for him to have a big year this year. The added depth on the D-line, the fact that there's going to be added attention to other facets of this defense. I think people forgot because of how great Dexter Lawrence was last year, how good of a player Leonard Williams is. Do not forget about Leo the Lion. I think Leo the Lion in a contract year is going to have a big year for the New York Giants. Cruzon says, I don't hate the move. Yeah, how could you? You can't hate this move. This is a no-risk, high-reward move because I think we could all agree, Cruzon, that he has potential if you could find the right role for him to be a good contributor for a football team. He's got the athletic profile. It's a matter of putting him in the right situation, coaching him up, and putting him in the right scheme. Obviously, the Giants feel like he fits their scheme. We'll see what they do, but I'm excited about it, man. What's up, Brandon, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Tanny, you think Shane going to re-sign? No, I do not. Unfortunately. I just don't think it's in the budget. And Leo could say this. I hope he's back. But at the end of the day, you look at the defensive tackle market this past year, you look at what some of these guys got. I mean, my God. Good defensive tackles are getting $15, $16 million a year. Dalvin Tomlinson got 15, 16, whatever it was, $1 million a year. And he's, I think, the same exact age as Leonard Williams. So Leo, he has to look at that and say, if I have a good year this year, I'm going to be worth at least $20 million. And how could the Giants pay him that? Somebody will. Somebody will. It's a very highly valued position in the NFL. With the amount of money we spent on Dex, they'll probably draft an interior defensive lineman next year, if I had to guess. But no, I don't think Leo will be back. I just don't think he'll be in the budget. I don't think he'll be in the budget, but I love him. What's up, Kalen? He says, Tana, did you see Amuka? No, I did not. I'm going to watch it, but I have not seen it yet. I didn't have a chance because I was working. I saw pictures and, I think I saw quotes, but no, I did not actually get to watch the press conference yet. Wink just got his hit, man. Let's go. Cushman says 7th round pick is a future Hall of Famer, GOAT type player. Simmons is cool, but I think the Giants made a mistake giving up a 7th round pick. Jay says Big Cat getting hot. I'm telling you, Leonard Williams is gonna have a big year. He's my guy this year. Like, he's my guy that I think is going to do better than people expect this year. He's my guy this year. We'll see. But I'm excited for Leo this year. I think everything sets up for him to have a very successful year this year. Do you think Bryce Ford Wheaton is making the team? If you would have asked me that like 2 weeks ago, I would have said no way. But, I mean, based off what the hints are, he might. Because when you think about the back end of a wide receiving core, generally speaking, you want that. You don't expect that guy to play the 7th receiver on a roster if you're going with 7. You expect him to be a guy that's going to help contribute on special teams. Cole Beasley's not going to help contribute on special teams. Sterling Shepard's not going to help contribute on special teams. So you say to yourself, well, if Bryce Ford Wheaton, by all accounts, from what people are saying, is doing a very good job as the gunner, the fact that they gave him as much guaranteed money as they did for an undrafted free agent, well, I wouldn't expect him to play in terms of catching passes for this team this year unless we have a ton of injuries. He may make the team because of special teams purposes, and we need a lot of help there. We were awful last year in special teams, so if they feel like he's a dramatic improvement, by all means, we need all the help we could get on special teams. Let's see what we got. Can we trade? Why would we trade Slayton? Why would we trade Slayton? I don't want to trade Slayton. Listen, I was a guy that was not the biggest fan of Darius Slayton. I still don't love Darius Slayton. I think Darius Slayton's a little bit underrated by this fan base. I think he's a pretty good wide receiver. I don't want to just trade Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton's the only guy right now in this wide receiving core that has any chemistry whatsoever with Daniel Jones, outside of Hodgins last year for a 5 or 6 game stretch. Shepard's always hurt. No, I don't want to trade Darius Slayton. I think Darius Slayton could be good for this team this year. I don't want to trade Darius Slayton. Let's see. MYG fan for life says, man, this defense is getting even more scary. I can't wait. If they trade Slayton, he's worth more than a. Well, yeah, that too. But I wouldn't trade him. What do you mean? He was a solid receiver. I'm just going to go to the bad mic because this is temperamental. I got to get the cord this week. I keep saying I'm going to get it, and I get caught up during the weekend, but I got to get that this weekend. But, yeah, I see no. Slayton was a good player for the Giants last year. There's no reason to trade the guy. Why would you trade him? Let's see. Vegas says, I think Wan'Dale won't be the same after his injury. Hope I'm wrong. I pray you're wrong. And he's a guy that I expect to get more of an expanded role as the year progresses. I think him and Hyatt by mid-season, I could see those guys starting to get close to starters reps. I don't think they'll get starters reps early, but as the year progresses, as Wan'Dale comes back and gets healthier, I could see him getting an expanded role. But I hope you're wrong. I think Wan'Dale could be a nice piece for this offense. Let's see. Do you think Simmons could be a long-term solution? No. I shouldn't say no. I guess it depends on what his contract demands will be at the end of the year, but I think he's probably more of a stopgap guy, but I guess it depends on what his contract demands are at the end of the year. I don't even want to think about 2024 right now. I'm excited about 2023, and I'm excited to see what Simmons could help this team do this year. I'm excited to see what Leonard Williams could help this team do this year, Kayvon Thibodeau, Xavier McKinney. I'll worry about the guys like McKinney and Barkley and all these other guys, whether or not they're going to come back at the end of the year. I'm excited to see what they'll do for this year's team. Let's see. Of course, we're going to get a lot of players that will be gobbled up by others. That's the sign of a good team. Yeah, I think there's going to be at least 4 or 5 players that don't make this team that sign somewhere else. I'll say that right now. Let me see if my mic went back. Hold on one second. Yeah, we're good now. I just saw somebody in the chat say this dude's a goofball. JJ. JJ, where you at, JJ? Where you at? This dude is a goofball. What? Maybe you're talking to somebody in the chat. You're probably talking about me. I don't know. What did I say that made you say that I'm a goofball? What did you say? What did I say? I always like to know. You say I'm a goofball. Why am I a goofball? What didn't you agree with that I said? Leo will be re-signed at a lower salary. I hope. I think Leo's going to sign somewhere else. But I hope. Leo's great. I think he'd be great to come back. Elbow says 100% chance we beat Dallas week 1. Let's go Giants. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. You changed your tune? What did I change my tune on? Change my tune on what? On what? I changed my opinion on a player? I mean, I think people should change their opinions on players. Do you not change your opinion on things in life in general? Like when people like insult people for changing their opinion or take on a player, like I think you should be open to changing your opinion on players. I'm always open to it. If I'm down on a player, I hope he proves me wrong, and I hope I get a greater opinion about that player. I don't know why people insult people because they change their opinions on players. Now, if it's flip-flopping within a 2 or 3 week stretch, of course, that's stupid. But you should always be open to changing your opinions on players if they impress you or if they get worse over the course of time. I think it's actually worse if you're the opposite. If you're a person that stays engraved in an opinion, you're not willing to change based off of things that are presented to you. That's my opinion on the situation. David, thank you for being a member. He says, Shane does it again. Getting a guy like Simmons for just his 7th blew my mind. Cowboys, you better come to play because the G-men are coming for you. Let's go, man. Simmons changes everything for we'll see. We'll see. I'm excited about it. Cushman. He says, I started watching you as a freshman in high school. I am now a sophomore. That's wild. That's wild. Hope you're doing well, Cushman, man. Always been a great supporter of mine. Super diehard Yankees fan. Big Giants fan also. Knicks fan. So hope you're doing well, man. Let's see. Michael says, there's nothing wrong with growing and changing your opinion when present with, that's exactly. Like people that like are like, oh, well, not me, just in general. Like when people like criticize people for changing their opinion on a player, like why would you do that? Like you should be open to changing your opinion on things. When I was 14 years old, I didn't like sushi. When I was 19, I did. It's like, as you grow, you get older, you get more information on a player. You may think he's better or worse than you thought 2 or 3 years ago. Let's see what we got. Katrick says, same super chat as East did the last one. Wow. I didn't realize you were already in college also. I got to meet Katrick a few times at the Giants games. That's awesome, man. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for supporting the channel as long as you have. You think the starters are playing this week? I think the young rookie starters will play this week. I think Hawkins will get some reps. I think Banks will get some reps, but I don't know that. But if you're asking me what I think will happen, that's what I think will happen. I don't think they'll play all the starters. Maybe Neal gets some reps. They feel like he needs some fine-tuning before the year starts. But I think there's valuable reps to be had for the young secondary players going up against Aaron Rodgers, going up against the ones for the Jets. If they get killed, they get killed, whatever. I think I think there are some valuable reps that could be gained in the first 2 drives of this game. But I don't expect Daniel Jones to play probably. I don't expect Barkley to play. I don't expect Waller to play. Hyatt will play. Maybe Hodgins will play. But I don't expect the main guys to play. Kayvon, probably not. Dex, probably not. Let's see. What position did Sushi play? I haven't heard of him. How many pickups do you think the Giants will claim off the waiver wire? I have probably 2, 3. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how many of them actually stick to the roster too, right? But I'll say 2 or 3. Bookend says, if you're someone who doesn't change their opinion in life in general, it's going to be a long and winding road. Yeah, exactly. Love this channel. What's up, Jose, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. Peter, what's going on, man? He says, one major reason for optimism on Simmons, Rosen into Kyler, just the actions of today. The Cardinals are a dumpster fire organization right now. They were probably ruining. Well, also, Pete, much like us last year, there's a regime change there too, right? They got rid of their coach, even though Cliff Kingsbury was horrible. He should have never gotten the job to begin with. I don't know how he did, but they got rid of their coach. I think they got rid of their GM. I'm not 100% sure on that. but there is a regime change there in Arizona. What happens? Well, we've seen it 2 times as Giants fans. When that happens, you usually clean house. Happened to us last year with Bradbury. So, yeah, I think there's a reason why they got rid of Simmons. It doesn't mean that he can't play in the NFL and he can't help contribute to this football team. Giants hopefully took advantage of that, and they got a guy that can help this team out. What's up, Ms. Man? Thanks for popping to the stream, man. Jay, what's going on, man? Y'all making me feel old. Started watching him and Dog Jr. in high school. Now we'll be going into my sophomore year of college. If I went, well, I appreciate you, man, for being such a good supporter of the channel. I'll be live with Bad Dog tonight, by the way. Glenn says our 2 tight end sets this year could be dangerous with the attention that Waller commands. Bellinger are going to be wide open, especially. I agree. Yeah, somebody mentioned that earlier. Yeah, I think Bellinger's going to get a lot of easy scores this year. I think he's going to have probably 5, 6, maybe 7 touchdowns because he's going to be the forgotten man inside the 5 or 6 yard line. Let's see. Monty Osenford is the new GM for the. Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay. I thought that I didn't remember off the top of my head, but I thought they had a GM change. Obviously, they got rid of Kingsbury. Osenford was a guy we brought Osenford in for an interview, if I recall, when we hired Joe Shane. He was one of the guys we brought in for an interview, along with the dude from the Titans that we picked up, who's part of our staff now. What's his name? I'm forgetting it off the top of my head, but we brought in. He was an assistant, I think, with the Titans, and now he's part of our staff. But we brought him in for an interview for the general manager job too. But yeah, so there you go. Simmons needs to be more aggressive, but has major potential. We'll see. I'm excited, man. I think he's going to help this team. Can DeVito make the team? I think he will make the team because the rules of the NFL now is you could carry 3 quarterbacks, and the third quarterback doesn't go against the 53-man roster. So every team's going to do it. DeVito's at least familiar with the offense in preseason. He's worked with the receivers. So it makes sense that he would make the roster. He's played at least decent. So, yeah, he won't play, obviously. But, yeah, I think he'll make the team. Cowden, there you go. I was forgetting the name of the top man. Cowden, yep. Let's see. That was the dude from the Titans. If we lose Kafka, do we get a comp pick? No. I think you're talking about the newer. It's not brand new. The minority rule. I think that's what you're talking about, where if you lose a minority to a high, I think it has to be a higher job. So I think for example, like Patrick Graham, when we lost him, it was a lateral move. He didn't become a head coach, so we didn't get a comp pick for it. But if we were to lose, a minority coach and he got progression, like Brown, for example, if he becomes a general manager and he's not an assistant, we would get a comp pick for that. I think that's the way it works. But no, we wouldn't get one for Kafka. Docs, man, thank you very much, man. Over, under 20 touchdown passes this year for DJ. Over. And I'm only going to base these projections off of if they're going to play 17 games. So if the guy that gets hurt and misses 4 games, okay, he got hurt. But if Daniel Jones plays 17 games, he's throwing for over 20 touchdowns this year. No doubt in my mind. Over. Easy over for me. Yeah, I think my floor for Jones this year, if he plays 17 games, in terms of what I expect, 30 combined touchdowns. Whether it be 25 passing, 5 rushing, 23 passing, 7 rushing. That's what I expect. I think he's going to do better than that. But I expect that as a baseline for me. 30 total touchdowns this year for Daniel Jones if he plays a whole year. And I don't think that's crazy to expect at all. At all. The dude had 24 touchdown passes his rookie year in 12 games. This year, they're going to throw more. They have more explosive weapons. They're going to be more dangerous in the red zone. It's year 2 in the offense. Why would I expect anything less? Let's see. Pinnock might be the only one. Let's see. I think Saquon has a huge. I agree. I think Saquon's going to get back to having big plays like he did in his rookie year because now you're going to have more attention, right? More attention on Waller, more attention on Campbell. Jones is going to be more acclimated to the offensive scheme. Less eyes are going to be focused on Saquon. He's not going to just be the only focal point of the opposition. I think that lends itself to Barkley having bigger plays this year for the Giants. Maybe less in terms of the amount of touches he gets, but I think when he gets his touches, they'll be more explosive on average. Let's see. I agree, Bill. That's where I'm at. I'm at 30 combined. If he plays 17 games, I'm between 30 to mid 30s in total touchdowns for Daniel Jones this year, whether it be 28 passing, 4 rushing, whatever. Be 30 to 35, 36 total touchdowns for DJ this year. Those are my expectations going into the year. Let's see. Stanley says, hey, Chris, I think the Giants is the 4th best team in the NFC behind the Eagles, Cowboys, and Niners. Yeah, I think they're in the discussion. I think going into the year, if you're being fair, you have to put those 3 above them. Would I be shocked if the Giants catch the Cowboys this year? I wouldn't be shocked. But you have to put those 3 above them. And then after that, it's a conversation. It's the Giants. It's the Lions. It's the Packers. It's not the Packers, the Vikings. Well, I'd have the Giants above. The Seahawks. You could throw them in there. I don't think anybody, maybe the Saints, you want to throw them in there because they got Carr and they got a good defense. Maybe you want to throw them in there. But yeah, I think that going in, there's a clear top 3. And then after that, yeah, the Giants are in the conversation. What's going on, John? Man, thanks for popping in the stream. My thoughts on the Mets? I mean, I'm glad they sold at the deadline, but what a disappointing year this was. One of the most disappointing years I've had as a Met fan ever, coming off the second highest win total we've had in a single season in the history of the franchise. For them to fall apart like they did, awful. What's up, Funk Man? Thanks for popping in. Slayton will benefit from Waller being everybody's going to benefit. Everybody's going to benefit from Waller being on the field because it takes eyes off of them. Everybody's going to benefit from Waller being on the field. Albert says we are a team on the rise. The GM, the coach, I agree. The Giants will win the division. Watch. I think they're going to be in contention. I don't think they're going to get blown out this year when they play the Eagles. I don't think they're going to get blown out when they play the Cowboys. I think they're going to be in contention. I'm not going to predict that, but they'll be in contention. I think the Giants will be in contention this year. Let's put it that way. I think we are trending towards being a very good football team with a very good head coach. Let's see. How poetic. The New York football teams finally have hope, and our baseball teams shit the bed. Yeah, the Yankees will turn around quick, though, and I think the Mets will turn around quick, too, just because the Mets have the advantage of being able to spend a lot of money. It may take a couple of years, and the Braves are equipped to be really good for the next 10 years plus with all the young players they have on their team. But I think they'll turn it around quick because baseball, there's no salary cap, and they'll adjust. Chris, is it September 10th already? Not yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there, Elvis. It'll be here before you know it, I promise you. Shea will make another move to get a 7th-round pick. We'll see. If he doesn't, he doesn't. It's not the end of the world. I mean, it'd be nice to have an extra pick, but I'd take Simmons over a 7th-round pick. Let's see what we got. Somebody asked me a question. I lost it. I'm just here for the Trump mugshot. Oh, damn. What? Wrong channel. Wrong channel, J-Fed. Oh, that's today, right? I forgot about that. Is that today? I don't even know. Yeah, I think it is today. What's up, Bill? He says Joe needs one more season to add depth. Yeah, I agree. I think next year, if all goes according to plan and Jones progresses like I think he will, and like obviously the Giants think he will, otherwise they wouldn't have paid him. I think next year is the year where going into the year, I could say confidently, I expect this team to be in Super Bowl contention. This year, hey, maybe things break right. But if the team progresses the way that I think they will, I think 2024 is the year that you say, okay, this is the year going into the year. This team has a chance to compete to go to the Super Bowl. That's I think, the trajectory right now for the New York Giants. Let's see. So excited for this season. Can't come soon enough. Let's go, Mike. The Giants almost have a complete team, just a couple more pieces. Well, they still have a lot of question marks, but they have youth and they have guys that you expect to get better, whether it be Evan Neal, whether it be the guys in the secondary. You expect those guys to get better over the course of the year, the wide receivers. I still think they need one more year growing, personally, to enter that Super Bowl discussion. But, hey, I think we're a playoff team this year. Regardless of the schedule, I think we're a playoff team this year. Stanley says, hey, Chris, why Madden is disrespecting the it's Madden. What do you expect? They're all Cowboys fans. Honestly, I don't care. I don't care about video game rankings. It doesn't bother me at all. Let's see. Diop tweeted about the Giants getting a big steal in Simmons for a 7th, but he deleted it for some reason. I guess because maybe Tennessee told him to take it down. Who knows? Tyler, what's going on, man? How you doing, says Chris? Sorry for what my Braves. Yeah, I'm sure you're really sorry. You want to talk about a team that's built their team incredibly well. I hate to say it, the Atlanta Braves. And they locked all their players up to long-term contracts that were young. Jason says, I'm going to the week 1 game, the 49ers game in San Fran, and the Jets game. Would love to chop it up with you at one. I think I'm going to go to the Jets game. And if I do, I'll let you know. I'll let you know where I'm going to be. But I think I'm going to go to the Jets game. What's up, Mark? He says, do you think McKinney gets a second contract? Depends how he does this year. I think it's up in the air. I think McKinney is much like Daniel Jones going into last year, where McKinney has to have a big year. McKinney has to like, at the end of the day, safeties get paid a ridiculous amount of money right now. The safety market has gone way up. The highest paid safeties are getting $20 million a year. So if McKinney wants that kind of money, he has to prove to me, and I think, in my opinion, not to me, he has to prove to Joe Schoen, he has to prove to Brian Dable that he is a huge difference maker. And I do think he's a difference maker, but he's got to have a big year, and he's got to stay on the football field. But, yeah, if he has a big year, a Pro Bowl season, yeah, I think the Giants will keep him. But he's got to have a big year. I think there's a lot riding on this year for McKinney and whether or not he's going to stay with the New York Giants. He's got to stay healthy and everything else. They got other players they got to pay. There's a salary cap, unfortunately. You can't pay everybody. But depends on how well he plays this year. Do you think Adoree will? No, I do not. I think Adoree's gone. Sam says, Chris, is Devontae Adams realistically, if we're a top 3 team in the conference and the Raiders? No, I don't. Because of his contract. His contract's ridiculous. So, no, I don't. Other than DJ, who's the one player we can't lose to be successful this season? Andrew Thomas. That's easy. Andrew Thomas. You look at our tackles. I mean, Evan Neal's our second best tackle, who's a huge question mark. I think he's going to be much better this year, but he's a huge question mark. And after him, you got Matt Parrott. If Andrew Thomas, by far, is the second most valuable player to this team. If he goes down, we're screwed. So, Andrew Thomas. Philip, what's going on? Do we get a game where the offense blows the doors off? If so, yes, we will. How many? I don't know, but we will. I don't think we're at the point where the offense is going to blow the doors off against a great defense, because we don't have a great offense yet. We don't have a complete offense yet. So I don't expect us to blow the doors off against Dallas. I don't expect us to blow the doors off against the 49ers. I don't expect us to blow the doors off against the Eagles. But do I think we could blow the doors off against the Cardinals? Do I think we could blow the doors off against, 4 or 5 teams maybe on our schedule? Yeah, I do. And I think we will. I think we're going to have some big games this year offensively. Money. Simple. It's not because how he is as a player. Money. That's the only reason, Corey. Money. There's a salary cap. He's 30. He's going to be, or he's approaching 30. He's had an injury history in the past. They just spent a very early draft pick on Deonte Banks. Hawkins looks like he may pan out in terms of being a contributor. I think they're going to spend their money elsewhere, if I had to guess. Only reason. I think he's very important. As a matter of fact, I think he's one of the 5 most valuable players to the 2023 New York Giants. You want to talk about indispensable players? He's in the top 5 for this year's team, in my opinion. Adoree Jackson. But do I think he'll be back? No. The main reason? Money. Jason says, if you could pick re-sign, who are you picking? Leo, Barkley, Adoree, Simmons, or Xavier? Impossible for me to tell you right now. I got to see how they play this year. If all are healthy and produce, I'm leaning Adoree, but all would work. It all depends on their market, and it depends on how they play this year. What's Adoree's market in comparison to Simmons or McKinney or Barkley or Leo? If you ask me who I think is most realistic to be back out of that group, I think it's Barkley. I think Barkley's the most realistic to be back because you could tag him for not a lot of money. He'd be $12 million to tag again. So Simmons, who knows what his market will be. McKinney could cost $20 million a year. The franchise tag for a safety next year is going to be like $17 or $18 million. Leo, the D tackle market went way up. So the most likely out of those guys, I think it's Barkley next year that'll be back out of those 5. I don't think there's a guarantee that any of those guys will be back, but if I had to pick one, I'd say Barkley's most likely because we could tag him. Is this the best trade that Joe has made? No, I mean, I think the Waller trade's better. I think it's going to be more impactful, but I think it's a good trade. I think the Jalen Hyatt trade, potentially trading up to get Jalen Hyatt, could end up being a very big time trade for the New York Giants, but obviously we'll see how that pans out over the next 3 or 4 years. Let's see. We could draft one, but I would rather trade for someone like Ayuk. I mean, me too, but he's going to cost money too. I mean, maybe I'll be wrong. I just don't think they're going to give a Dory a huge contract. Maybe I'll be wrong. Or maybe he's not going to command as much as I think he's going to command. But if he's going to want a pretty hefty salary, I don't think he'll be back with the New York Giants. Let's see. Do we think Flott will amount to anything? I don't know. I hope. I think he's got potential, but he has not broken out like I was hoping he would in training camp. We'll see. I mean, he's still young. I think he was 20 when we drafted him. I think if I recall, Flott was the youngest player in the NFL when we drafted him. So if last year taught you anything, a lot of these players take different times to develop. Andrew Thomas became an All-Pro year 3. Dexter Lawrence became an All-Pro year 4. Daniel Jones had his best year 4. So the book's not done. The book has not been closed yet on Cordell Flott. Jason says, I just think in a passing league, you don't let go of good NFL cover corners. Maybe a 2-year deal if you would sign for a decent yeah, listen. If he's willing to sign for a cheap deal, yeah. It all depends on what their markets are going to be. It's very hard to predict before the year starts. And I haven't even looked at what the projected cornerback market is going to be in terms of who the other available free agent corners are going to be. Because obviously, if it's a thinner market, a good corner like Adoree Jackson would be worth more than if it was a very deep cornerback market. So we'll see. It's something I'll worry about at the end of the year. I'm not worried about it right now. Kevin says, how quick do we see Simmons on the week one? Week one. Obviously, he's not going to have I don't think he's going to have a full role week one, but he'll be on the field week one, I think. Maybe it's only in certain situations like 3rd and longs where you could use him as a blitzer or a guy that could, cover a tight end in an obvious passing situation or spy the quarterback. But yeah, I think he'll have a role week one. I don't know how big of a role it will be. It will grow over the course of the year. Did you see what Saleh said about Pinnock and Cager? No, but I know that the Jets last year were very high on Pinnock. They were just very deep in that secondary room. So they had to let him go. And the Giants obviously were able to benefit from that. And I think if I recall what came out was, I don't remember if Saleh said it or somebody else said it, that they said that they thought it was a mistake that they let him go. I don't remember who said it from the Jets. It may not have been Saleh. But the only reason why Pinnock became available at all last year was because the Jets were really deep in that room. What's up, Philip? He says, do you think Simmons will be used as an edge? I mean, I think he'll be used in multiple ways, but I think his main role is going to be as a linebacker. Max, what's up, man? Hope all is well. Let's go, Giants. Good to see you, buddy. Yes, Corey, I probably will. After my next video, I think is going to be the 53-man roster prediction video after our last preseason game on Saturday. I'll probably have that up on Sunday. And then, yeah, I'll probably do like a week before the season starts video, giving my final prediction on the schedule and, why I think the team's going to do what they're going to do this year. What's up, Sam, man? Good to see you, man. Bring week one already. Man, I can't wait anymore. Let's go, Edrin. I mean, good for Fisk. I hope he's right. I hope we have a top 5 defense. Chris, who should be our starting 3 receivers? I think Campbell, Hyatt, and Hodgins. Yeah, I think that will change week to week in terms of who's the most featured wide receiver based off the teams we're going up against. But yeah, I think going into the year, those are our 3. Now, that will change probably. Hyatt will probably get a bigger role as the year progresses. Wandell, I think, will get a bigger role as he gets back and gets healthier. But to start the year, yeah, I think those are the clear top 3. Did the Giants run out with 3 running backs or carry a 4th? I think they go with 4. I'd be surprised if they don't go with 4. I think right now, if you ask me, I think obviously Barkley, Gray, Breida, and Corbin. I think Corbin's the 4th. I think he's making the team. I think they're going to go with 4. Demir, what's going on, man? He says, my favorite streamer. What's up, buddy? Good to see you. I'm moving to Charlotte, North Carolina, so I'll be sure to turn some Panthers fans into real football. How do you feel about our guards? What's up, Demir? Good to see you, man. Yeah, I'm not confident about our guards. I'd be lying to you if I said otherwise. Yeah, I'm nervous. The fact that they're still platooning these guys and it's musical chairs, I think it clearly shows that they're not ultra confident in any of them, and they're trying to get as many they're trying to give all three of the guys as much of a look as they possibly can at certain positions with different alignments on the line as they possibly can before the year starts. And I think that has as much to do with JMS as anybody else. JMS is the man in the middle. He's the guy that has to play with these guys. They're probably trying to get him used to playing next to all three of them in different spots on the line because they know it's important for him. So, yeah, we'll see. I think at some point this year, Azudu's going to be if I had to guess, is going to be inserted into the starting lineup. But I think to start the year, it'll be Bredesen, and of course Glowinski. I don't think Azudu's going to start. He hasn't looked very good in the preseason games, and so we'll see. But yeah, I'm definitely not really confident. I still think we need another guard next year. I would not be upset if the Giants spent a early draft pick next year on an interior offensive lineman, whether that be the first round, second round, third round, whatever. But yeah, I think we need a finishing touch on that line. I think we need one more piece. What's up, Ryan, man? Thanks for popping in. Michael says, I live outside Winston-Salem, North Carolina. There are New York Giants fans here. There's a lot of Giants fans in North Carolina probably, and Florida. A lot of New Yorkers moved down there. Cheaper living, better weather, cheaper taxes. Let's see. What's your predictions on Hyatt stats for the year? You're throwing darts at a board. I don't know what his role is going to be. But I think he'll have some kind of role, and I think he'll hit on a few big plays. I'll go around 400, between 400 and 500 yards. So I'll go 450, maybe 35 catches, and maybe 30 catches. Because I think he's going to have, he's going to be a guy that accumulates a lot of yards when he catches the ball. I'll go 30 catches, 450 yards, and 4 touchdowns. I think he'll have a few big plays this year. He'll show signs of potential, but I don't think he's going to be like a heavily featured weapon yet. I think he's still a rookie. As the year progresses, I think he'll get more of an expanded role. So that's, I guess, I'll throw that out there. 30 catches, 450 yards, 4 touchdowns. What's up, Dylan, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. What is the worst case scenario for this season? Injuries, which you can't predict. But yeah, we've seen what injuries could do to not just the Giants, but any football team. So that's the worst case scenario, of course. Do you know if starters are playing? I have no idea. I would lean some will, most won't. I would think the younger starters, JMS probably gets to play a little bit. Evan Neal probably gets to play a little bit on the line. I don't think Thomas will play. I don't think Jones will play. Hawkins will probably play if I had to guess. Banks will probably play. Like the younger starters, I think will play, but the vets like Waller, Barkley, Jones, I don't think they'll play if I had to guess. But we'll see. Your guess is as good as mine. Let's see. Do I think the defense could be top 10? I hope. The only reason why I'm reluctant to say they'll be top 10, they'll be this, they'll be that, even though I do think the defense is going to be really good. Their schedule, they're going up against some really good offenses, like the 49ers, the Jets, the Eagles, the Cowboys. But yeah, I'm leaning, if they're not in the top 10, they'll be just outside of it. I think we have a really good defense and a really good defensive coordinator. So yeah, I think we'll be an above average defense this year. What's the weakness of the defense now? Short term, because that's what we're talking about this year. I still think it's the secondary. I do. I think it's the secondary. I think the strength is the front seven, the pass rushers in particular, whether it be Leo, Dex, or Kayvon and Aziz. But at the end of the day, you're still starting 2 rookies on the outside. And you have some injury-prone players back there too. So if I have to pick a weakness, I think it's still the secondary. But I'm also probably most excited about the secondary because I think these young guys could grow and get better over the course of the year. Don't Get Park says it feels good to finally have a competent front office that makes fast, quiet moves. Yeah, and they're versatile, right? Joe Schoen has shown he's willing. He doesn't just look for the here and now. He looks for the long term, but he does not. He's done exactly what he said he was going to do. He's building to win now, but compete now, or whatever he said, and win for the future long term. He's improving the team along the way, but he's also thinking long-term. The Andrew Thomas extension was long-term thinking. The Dexter Lawrence extension was long-term thinking. The fact that he looked to acquire players that had short-term salaries that were kind of stopgap fill-ins as he builds this team through the draft is long-term thinking. But he also was willing to make moves for players that he knows could help them this year. Darren Waller, Isaiah Simmons, so on and so forth. So he's done a really good job, in my opinion, of blending both, thinking long-term while still improving the product this year and, trying to build off of last season where we won a playoff game. The edge rushers, the depth with the edge rusher is concerning. I saw Kevin say that. The depth with the edge rusher is definitely concerning. Michael says, here's to a hopeful offseason for once and hopefully a successful season. I mean, we've had hopeful offseasons in the past, if we're being honest. They just fell apart. But this just feels different. It feels like there's like an actual plan in place. Shane's not all over the place. If you're thinking along the lines of not just for 2023, but for the next 3 or 4 years, I think you got to be relatively confident that this guy's building something that will have an opportunity to compete for a Super Bowl in the pretty near future. But the proof's in the pudding. We'll see how they perform this year and over the next couple of years. Let's see. What if Dable turns out to be Joe Judge going into season 2? I don't think he will. Here's my reasoning for that. And listen, I bought into. I'm a fan at the end of the day. It was hope. We were all hoping for Joe Judge, and it was out of the box thinking. Right? It was kind of something that you never really expected the Giants to do, to hire a young coach that was just a special teams coach. That not a guy that had a lot of credentials. It was out of the box thinking. He had the press conference. We all got excited. We all wanted to buy in. Here's the difference between Joe Schoen and Brian Dable. What players under Joe Schoen had career years, had years where they broke out? The other thing is, when Joe Schoen's first year, it was nice. It was fun. We won 6 games. Look at the wins. We beat the Dallas Cowboys without Dak Prescott. We beat the Philadelphia Eagles when Carson Wentz was playing like a backup. We beat the Bengals without Joe Burrow. The only impressive win that Joe Judge had was the Seattle Seahawks game. That was it, when you really look back at it. Last year, Brian Dable set the tone from the start. The Titans on the road, the Ravens, the Packers in London, beating Washington. People forget how impressive, they tied them the first time. But going into that game, Washington was like the hottest team in football. Winning a playoff game on the road in Minnesota. We pretty much competed week in and week out. And we overcame a lot of injuries last year, too. The defense had a ton of injuries last year. We're just a much better coached football team. So I don't think there's similarities. I don't think he's going to fall apart. I think we have a very good coach. I do. I think we have a very good coach. Let's see. I genuinely think going for 2 versus Tennessee, I agree. And if you were watching my live stream with Bad Dog, I said it at the beginning of the fourth quarter. I said if they score with a minute or 2 minutes to go, Dable's got to set the tone. They got to go for 2. And Joe Judge would have never done that. And I agree. I think it showed. Dable set the tone early. He said, I believe in you guys. I believe in you guys. When you guys have an opportunity to go out and win the game, I'm going to give you the chance to do it. That's what it did. I think it's instilled a lot of confidence in the football team. Not just that, the Daniel Jones interception that game, too. I think it was against the Titans, right? Week 1 when he threw the interception to Barkley in the corner of the end zone. He just set the tone early, man, with these players. Matt, man, what's going on, man? Off topic, been watching Hard Knocks, some legit cringe moments. The constant sweating of Rodgers, some of Salah's speeches, Quentin Williams dialogue. Yeah, I watched the first episode. I don't think I was watching the second episode late. I think I fell asleep halfway through. They were really going hardcore on Aaron Rodgers, and I get it. They're a team that I think last year identified that they were a quarterback away. They bring in a guy that brings hope that they could compete for a Super Bowl, so they're all really excited about him. But they're definitely going over the top. It's always fun and interesting before the year starts to get in the mood for football, but I'm glad the Giants aren't on there. I'm glad that the Jets are getting the attention. Let them get the attention. Let them be talked about. We'll worry about football. We'll worry about getting better this offseason. Yeah. But yeah, you figured it was going to be heavily focused on Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's the guy there. So it's been fun, I guess, to watch. But yeah, I don't think I saw the Quinn. I did a little bit. I don't remember it very well though. I got to go back and watch the remainder of the second episode with Quinn Williams. I know that they were talking about the contract. I saw that part where Salah and the One of the coaches. We're talking about I think it was the owner, actually. I think it was Saleh, the owner of the Jets. We're talking about how he was worth the contract. But I didn't get to watch the whole episode. You never know if it's the Giants. They always have bad luck. We are going through a rough patch. Football's unpredictable, but I'm confident that this team's headed down the right path. Ron says, when we do make the playoffs, we are battle tested. Almost all our games are against playoff. That's a good way to look at it. A lot of times, if you could survive over the course of the year, you're better equipped to play in the postseason. We'll see. We got to get there. What's going on, Jacob? Man, thanks for popping in the stream, man. We'll hang out probably for another 20 minutes, and then I'm going to call it a stream because I'm going live with Bad Dog at 9, and I'm going to eat dinner. But we'll hang out for about another 20 minutes. I appreciate all you guys for being here. I'm really looking forward to the start of the regular season. We'll be live a lot during the year. We'll talk about the Giants. Thank you guys for being a part of the channel. Appreciate all you guys. Who do you think is going to have a breakout year on defense quietly? I've said it countless times. Leo's my guy. I don't know if you would consider it a breakout year, but I think it's a year that people aren't expecting. I think Leo's going to have a big year for the Giants. Yeah, he's my guy this year. I like Leo to have a big year this year for the Giants. What's up, Bill? If the Giants got him, we wouldn't hear the end of how good of a GM Howie is. I mean, Howie's done a great job with the Eagles. I hate to say it, but he has. He was doing a really bad job there for a couple of years, and then he completely flipped it. Over the last 3 years, Howie's been great with the Eagles. I mean, the way they've built that football team has been great. I hate to say it, but it's true. Cowboys have built their team well, too, if you're being honest. Over the last 10 or 12 years, the way that they've drafted well. Let's see. I'm actually glad we have a tough schedule. It prepares us for the playoff. Yeah, exactly. I don't think Adore's the third corner, but I think he may play some slot based off the opponent. Like week 1, if CD's playing mainly in the slot, they may play Adore in the slot. That's why they practiced him there. I hope we keep Brandon. I think we'll keep Brandon Brown as long as we can, but eventually he'll probably get a job if this team continues to have success. What's going on, Rob? Good to see you, man. Very excited for the season. Do you think we see Simmons Saturday? Maybe. Probably a little bit, hopefully. Just so he gets at least a little bit used to playing, in this defensive system. I don't think Simmons is going to have a huge role to start the year, but maybe he will. We'll see. He may get a couple of reps. He may. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he does. But, we're only, 2 days away? So, he may not play. Had this happened earlier in the week, I'd say, yeah, he's probably going to get some reps. But, I'm leaning he won't play in that preseason game because he's probably not even going to be to the Giants facility until tomorrow. So, probably not. He probably won't play. Who we play is nowhere near as important as when we play them. That's the way football is. When do you catch teams on your schedule? The Giants, for example, week 1 compared to week 9, we're a completely different football team. And then week 9 compared to week 16, we're a completely different football team. When you play a team on their schedule has as much to do with how you're going to do in terms of your record throughout the course of the year. There's a lot of luck that goes involved with it. Like, for example, the Jaguars, we caught them at the right time last year. We did. Trevor Lawrence hadn't reached, the peak that he did last year. Over the last 6, 7, 8 games, he was a completely different quarterback than he was earlier in the year. So sometimes, you luck out, based on when you play teams on your schedule. Let's see. Who has a grudge against Dable? Nobody should. Let's see. Top 3 season leaders in sacks and interceptions on defense. Sacks, Kayvon, Aziz, and Dex. Ah, man, I want to throw Leo in there too. You know what? I'm going to throw Leo in there. Ooh. I'm going to go Kayvon. Wow, that's tough. I really want to put Leonard Williams in there because I think he's going to have a big year. You know what? Hot take. Top 3 leaders in sacks. Kayvon, Aziz, and Leonard Williams. I think Dex has a great year, but he comes in 4th. I think Dex is going to have 6.5, 7 sacks. Leo will get 8 or 9. Aziz right around the same. But they'll all be close. They'll all be between 6 to 9 sacks. All 4 of them, I think. I think they'll all have good years. But yeah, I'm going to throw Leo in there. I think he's going to have a big year. Let's see. Yeah, love hanging with you too, man. David, hope you're doing well, buddy. That's why the 2 Eagles games at the end of the year is bullshit. Well, I don't know what you're talking about in terms of what? In terms of the layout of the schedule? I mean, who knows? That could be beneficial for the Giants. For all we know, Hurts gets hurt, or the Eagles start to have some injuries to the offensive line, and they're not quite the same team at the end of the year. Like, you can't predict it. You don't know what the Eagles are going to look like. You don't know what we're going to look like. Leo better have a good year. He's being paid a small country's GDP. Yeah, that's not Leo's fault though. That's Dave Gettleman's fault. I don't blame that on Leo. The Leo contract was not awful. It just now it looks awful because of how much they had to backload because of all the other acquisitions that they made. When they made the Leo signing, I think it was for 3 years, $63 million. Not great. I'm not going to say it was a great contract, but it was $21 million a year. $21 million a year. I mean, you look at Dalvin Tomlinson, he's getting 16, 17, whatever he got. But because of all the backloading, now he's getting 32 because they signed Kenny Golladay, because they signed Adoree Jackson. They had to backload his contract, and they backloaded the hell out of it. So now, yeah, he's going 32 against the cap. But I don't blame Leo for that. That's not his fault that we had a general manager who didn't know how to manage the cap. Let's see what we got. What's up, Raymond? What's going on in Afghanistan? Kush says he's just stoned. Do you think Adoree is the slot because of Flott? No, I think they're playing Adoree in the slot because they know that there's going to be certain. Well, I think some of it has to do with Flott in the sense that they don't have full faith right now in Flott to play every down in the slot. But I think a big reason why Adoree is getting some exposure in the slot is because they know there's going to be a lot of teams they're going up against where they feature a wide, like Cooper Kupp, for example. He's featured a lot in the slot. CeeDee Lamb featured a lot in the slot. There's several other wide receivers this year that they're going to play. That Ayuk, for example, probably 49ers could line him up a lot in the slot. So they probably want Adoree to get accustomed to playing there because they're probably going to be playing him there a lot based on the opponents they're going up against this year. But I don't think he's going to play exclusively in the slot. Let's see. Hot take. 4th Washington, 3rd Eagles, 2nd Giants, 1st Dallas. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if the Eagles don't win the division. It wouldn't shock me. Injuries happen. They're a team that's kind of been very lucky the last couple of years. They haven't had any injuries. Their schedule's gotten a lot tougher this year, as is ours. Wouldn't shock me. I'm picking them, but it wouldn't shock me if they don't win the division. Like you said, there hasn't been a back-to-back division winner in forever in this division. No, I don't think we're bringing in Anthony Barr at this point. I mean, maybe we will, but no, we just traded for Simmons, so no, I don't see us signing Anthony Barr. I'd be pretty surprised if we did at this point. Let's see. I don't think they're winning the division. The Eagles? I don't think that's a bad take. That's a hot take, but I don't think it's a bad take. I think the Eagles are coming back to the pack this year. Everybody talks about the Giants' tough schedule, and it is tough. It is tough. But it's tough for the Eagles too. It's tough for the Cowboys too, and it's tough for Washington too. I think the winner of this division this year is probably going to win 10 or 11 games. I think it's going to be a very competitive division. I don't think there's any easy wins in this division, and I don't think there's many easy wins outside of it when you look at the divisions we're playing, the AFC East, the NFC West. So, yeah, I think 10, maybe 11 wins the NFC East. And I think all the teams will be between 7 and 11 wins. I think it'll be a very competitive division this year. I do. I think it'll be a very competitive division. Let's see. You got to be trolling. That's a real question. Brian Dable's not getting fired. It's not getting fired. No chance. So, yeah. Could he get fired year 3? Sure. If things went off the rails this year. But he's getting at least a 3rd year. He won Coach of the Year last year. So, he's not getting fired. Yeah, he's not getting fired. Let's see what we got. Tana, how did Neil do last week? Didn't watch the game. Played well. He had one bad rep. where he kind of got confused with a stunt, and it was hard to tell who was more responsible for the sack, him or the guard. Obviously, he gets hit with the knock because it came off the edge, but it looked like it could have been miscommunication. Regardless, that was a bad play. But outside of that, Evan Neal, when you look back and watch the old 22, he played really well, especially in pass protection. He did a really good job. So, yeah, that was encouraging. Probably more encouraging than anything else last week was the play of Evan Neal. No, he's safe. This year, he's safe. I won't say he's safe past this year, but he's safe this year. Brian Daboll's safe this year. Is Neal playing? Yeah, I think he should. I don't think he'll play as much as he did last week, but I think he should. Good news, the Jets, exactly. We got to consider everything, especially as a Giants fan. I think Honey Love's a troll. I think he's a troll. Godson says, I think we're going to win our road game against Buffalo and Miami. Bold prediction. That's my, you'll see it, I guess, when I do my schedule video. So some people will get mad because I'm going to pick a game that I expect us to, many will expect us to win, to lose, because I try to balance it out, because there's always going to be one or two of those games throughout the year that you expect to win that you'll lose. And there's usually a game or two that you expect to lose that you'll win. But Buffalo's the game that I think we're going to win. That is going to be a surprise this year. Last year it was the Ravens and the Packers and the Titans. I think we're going to beat the Bills. I really do. I think we're going to beat the Bills this year. That's my surprise win. Let's see. How many players can you see signing that doesn't make other? Yeah, somebody asked me that earlier. I'd say 2, maybe 3. That actually stick with the roster. I'm leaning 2 or 3. Imagine we knock out Rodgers for the year. No, I hope not. I don't want to see injuries. Agreed, Bills. I think we're beating the Bills. I really do. I think everything sets up well for that game. That's my game that I'm calling. That's our upset game of the year. The Buffalo Bills, Durrett. But guys, it's 7:01. I'm hungry. I got to get something to eat. I'm leaning Parrott actually makes it. Parrott played well. I don't like Parrott, but Parrott played well last week. I'm actually leaning Parrott gets the swing tackle job, but we'll see, Jason. I'm going to be live in 2 hours on Bad Dogs channel. So come on by for that. I'm excited to go live for that. Talk about Simmons, talk about everything else with you guys. I got to get something to eat. I'm starving. I'm excited. We'll have the play-by-play for the Jets-Giants game here on Saturday, 2 days. Then we'll probably go live leading up until the start of the regular season a lot. Going to have a lot of shows on the channel this year. Excited about it. But thank you guys for being here. You guys be good. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys tonight. Have a good night, guys.